Chapter 1155 Continuous Chop. He couldn't go back to the wild continent with these people. Due to the black ape, all the fierce beasts on that wild continent firmly remembered Wang Lin. If Wang Lin went back, the fierce beasts would be set off. The agitation from the wild beasts would be a dead giveaway to anyone who was already suspicious. This would explain that Wang Lin was coming from this wild continent, adding Shi Luoxing's death. Even if the rank 6 sect found out that he was killed by the old woman from the 5 poison sect, they would still cast great suspicion on Wang Lin. Once the suspicion appeared, they would search Wang Lin's storage space, and the tyrannical cultivators would directly search his soul. This would be a disaster for Wang Lin. His face was filled with an indignant expression. No one would find this suspicious. Anyone would feel indignant by this, but they still have to follow. However, just as the 8 core disciples closed in and Wang Lin ordered the black ape to move, as if he was going to follow, killing intent flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. He couldn't go back to the wild continent. Going back would mean death. Out of the 18 cultivators, the person leading was at the Nirvana Shatterer stage, but the highest cultivation level of the remaining 17 was only early stage Nirvana Cleanser. Once he attacked, he'd have to finish this in a short period of time. There were obviously more cultivators approaching, so he would have to finish in a short period of time. He also couldn't leave any survivors. Wang Lin raised his head and took a step forward as he waved his hand. Call the Wind appeared and turned into 5 dragons that charged at 5 of the surrounding people. At the same time, the black ape waved its arms and began its attack. Wang Lin moved like lightning and immediately arrived near the Nirvana Scryer cultivator. He was far faster than the Nirvana Scryer cultivator. The Nirvana Scryer cultivator's pupils shrank and he wanted to dodge, but soon his vision was covered by a finger. This finger quickly landed between the cultivator's eyebrows and left, leaving behind a bloody hole. The power of a Nirvana Cleanser cultivator rushed into the cultivator's body and crushed his origin soul. Wang Lin didn't pause at all and moved like water. After killing one, he charged into another one and pointed at that cultivator's body several times. Popping sounds came from that cultivator's body and blood sprayed everywhere. At this moment, the black dragons from Call the Wind had arrived on the 5 people. Those 5 were only at the corporeal yang stage, so they stood no chance against Bai Fan's spell. They weren't able to resist at all as the black dragons entered their bodies, and then their bodies exploded. Along with them, the 2 killed by Wang Lin also exploded. The last person was hit by the black ape's fierce strikes, and a miserable scream echoed. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. It was unbelievably fast. The 8 of them exploded almost at the same time, dyeing the area around Wang Lin red. Noble Money, who was moving away, suddenly turned around and was filled with shock. However, this shock quickly changed to ferociousness as he charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was neutral but also bitter. His original body wasn't here, so unless he was forced to, why would he provoke a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator? However, he didn't have time to think, as he had already killed 8 people. Wang Lin quickly stepped forward. He had to kill everyone beside the Nirvana Shatterer cultivator as soon as possible. Otherwise, if one of them escaped, Wang Lin would find it difficult to move even an inch in the Cloud Sea star system. However, the remaining 9 people, along with the Nirvana Shatterer cultivator, immediately realized this and scattered. Noble Money charged forward and shot out a ray of black light to stop Wang Lin from moving forward. Coldness flashed in Wang Lin's eyes as his right hand formed a seal and slaughter energy strands rushed out from his body. They condensed into layers of defense and Wang Lin rushed forth. As he rushed out, he felt like he was colliding with the universe, and the slaughter energy strands around Wang Lin all collapsed. The spells of a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator couldn't be underestimated. All the slaughter energy immediately dissipated, and a powerful force rushed into Wang Lin's body, causing him to cough out a mouthful of blood. However, he charged out from the black light. As Noble Money closed in, he charged at the 9 people that were scattering. Flames appeared in his left eye, and as he waved his left hand, a sea of flames appeared. There were 3 people inside the sea of flames, and they immediately screamed and were burned to ashes. The remaining 6 turned pale and quickly retreated. Wang Lin's face was pale and he was about to give chase. However, just at this moment, Noble Money let out an angry roar and closed in. His right hand formed a seal, and the black light turned into a black spear and closed in on Wang Lin. Seeing that the 6 people were about to scatter and noble money was closing in, Wang Lin's eyes became bloodshot. He knew that the cultivation level gap between him and noble money was too high. Once he stopped, he wouldn't be able to kill those 6 at all. The moment the spear closed in, Wang Lin opened his mouth and spat out the 18 Hell Celestial Sealing Stamp. The moment it appeared, it moved before his body and collided with the spear. With a bang, the Celestial Sealing Stamp smashed into Wang Lin, causing him to cough out blood. But it pushed him toward a person not far away. Wang Lin instantly waved his right hand, and a ring of green light fell down on the cultivator's neck. The cultivator's pupils shrank as he lifted his hands and black light appeared to form a shield. However, as Wang Lin waved his hand, the black shield collapsed and both of the cultivator's arms exploded. Finally, the cultivator's head exploded, and he died. There are 5 more. Wang Lin's right hand formed a seal and waved. Rain immediately appeared and the countless raindrops gathered to from 5 crystal swords that shot at the remaining 5 clear flower sect disciples. Just at this moment, noble money suddenly closed in. His right hand reached at the void and a storage space opened. A white whisk flew out, and noble money grabbed it and waved. A type of law suddenly appeared and turned into rays of white light above Wang Lin. These white lights rained down like swords and were simply too fast. Wang Lin suddenly looked up and flames flashed in his left eye. Then a suit of crimson-red armor appeared around him. Popping sounds echoed as those white lights landed on Wang Lin's body. His body trembled and he coughed out even more blood. His face became pale and his origin soul dimmed. A ray of white light pierced his right leg, causing it to become a bloody mess. If not for the armor, he would have died. At this moment, the swords formed by summoned the rain pierced through the bodies of the 5 escaping disciples. As their miserable screams echoed, 4 of their bodies collapsed and their origin souls perished. However, one of them took out a jade and broke it at the moment of danger. He was able to protect his origin soul and then quickly escape. How could Wang Lin allow this person to escape? His right hand reached at the void and his storage space opened. A ray of sword energy shot out. It was Shu Liguo charging straight toward that origin soul. If you don't kill him, you can die. This was the first message Shu Liguo heard after appearing. After hearing this, how would he not chase like crazy? There was a flash of silver light from the storage space, and the silver female corpse appeared. She didn't help attack noble money, but went after the life beast spirits that had just lost their owners. All of this happened in a few breaths of time. Killing all the cultivators here beside noble money was difficult even for Wang Lin. However, he couldn't relax, as this Nirvana Shatterer cultivator before him was the biggest danger he had to face. The reason he wanted to kill the other cultivators first, aside from not wanting them to escape, was so they couldn't interfere in this fight. If he wanted to kill this Nirvana Shatterer cultivator, he'd have to be completely focused without the slightest disturbance. Only then would he have a sliver of chance. If my original body was here, killing this person would be easier than now. As Wang Lin spoke, his right hand pointed at the 18 Hell Celestial Sealing Stamp. There was a flash of light and the soul fragments charged out of the 18 layers of hell. The most powerful souls inside were Master Void and the one formed by the fusion of the Alse's 2 avatars. They were Wang Lin's aces, and the moment they appeared, a cold energy surrounded the area. Noble Money's expression turned extremely ugly. He didn't think that this white-haired youth would use such strong spells and kill all the core disciples in just a short period of time. And when his spells landed, he actually wasn't able to kill this person. What shocked him even more were the dead souls summoned by this cultivator's spell. 2 of the souls had auras that even made him feel dread. This revealed just how heaven-shattering their cultivation levels were when they were still alive. Even though they were only souls and therefore their strength couldn't compare to when they were alive, they still shocked noble money. Wang Lin pointed and Master Void, and the Alse's soul charged out. However, this wasn't enough to end this battle quickly. If this were to drag on and aid arrived, Wang Lin would without a doubt die. His eyes were bloodshot as his right hand reached at the void. When Master Void and the Alser charged out, he took out the iron sword. The moment the iron sword appeared, the stars trembled, and even the surrounding fog churned. It was as if a powerful force had appeared and was pushing the star fog back. Pseudo-Nirvana Void! Noble Money's eyes narrowed. If the death souls from before just shocked him, then the appearance of this iron sword left him in disbelief. Intense greed filled his eyes as he rushed forward, and his Nirvana Shatterer cultivation erupted. A Nirvana Shatterer cultivator was far more powerful than a Nirvana Cleaner cultivator, so this was a bitter struggle for Wang Lin. Not only did he have to win, he had to do it quick. Leo steps out without his laptop charger. The computer has no power, so he reads the chapters using his phone, typing manually. Tears are flowing. Chapter 1156. Leaving the vortex. Holding the rusted iron sword, Wang Lin retreated as noble money charged in. Wang Lin pointed with his left hand, and the soul of Master Void and the Ulcer charged out. These two battle souls were Wang Lin's most powerful aces aside from the little remaining source origin he had. Along with this iron sword, he was giving it his all. After all, this wasn't like back in Qinglin's cave, where he had the original body to be able to withstand all the attacks. He also had endless ancient god power that allowed him to launch a heaven-shaking attack with just a punch back then. Now there was no opportunity to use Sundered Night, and the shield had shattered when saving Qinglin, so he couldn't use Dream of Ancient Times that the 8-star ancient god had left behind. At this moment, with only his cultivator avatar, it would be very difficult for Wang Lin to kill this cultivator. In particular, right now his right leg was a bloody mess as the white light from noble money had pierced through it. There was also origin energy that contained some kind of law raging inside his body. If not for the ancient god leather armor around his origin soul, it would have already collapsed. Fortunately, Wang Lin's body wasn't ordinary. After being refined in the Vermilion Bird Divine sect, it contained the laws of fire and thunder. As a result, he was able to only be injured rather than die under noble money's spell. Wang Lin had experienced many dangers in his life as a cultivator, so he naturally knew the danger of Nirvana Shatterer cultivators. Wang Lin didn't have too much time to think about the danger before him. He had to quickly end this battle and attempt to kill this Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. With the point of his left hand, Master Void and the Ulcer charged at noble money. Facing those two powerful souls, even noble money was extremely cautious. In his entire cultivation life, he had never seen a Nirvana Cleanser cultivator with spells that could threaten Nirvana Shatterer cultivators. The Ulcer's soul almost seemed to have gone crazy and rapidly formed seals to send out spells. These spells were often blurry and not real, but they directed the law of the world toward noble money. There was also Master Void's soul. Due to the fact that he had reached his first Heaven's blight before death, he waved his sleeves and a thunderstorm appeared to counter noble money's spell. If Wang Lin wasn't worried about time, then he could use Master Void and the Ulcer to grind noble money to death. However, Wang Lin didn't have the time or the celestial origin energy to sustain these two powerful souls. Magic Arsenal had consumed most of his celestial origin energy. As Master Void and the Ulcer were fighting with noble money, Wang Lin lifted his right hand and stared at the iron sword. He mercilessly slashed down, and an earth-shattering ray of sword energy appeared. It turned into the illusion of a giant sword and slashed down on noble money. This didn't end here. Wang Lin closed his eyes and gave up control of the iron sword, letting the sword move itself. The iron sword moved as if Wang Lin's hand was glued to it, and another slash was sent out. Rays of light formed an arc through the fog, and each light represented a ray of sword energy. Each ray of sword energy consumed a large amount of origin energy from Wang Lin's body. The sword energy intertwined and looked like a flower. From afar, the curved sword energy rays continued to appear until they formed a flower made of swords before noble money. In the blink of an eye, 13 sword strokes fell. Wang Lin was moving his arm with his eyes closed as the sword moved on its own. An unexpectedly shocking aura appeared from Wang Lin, as if everything in the world would be destroyed by this sword. All of this happened in an instant. Noble money was being entangled by Master Void and the Ulcer. His hand kept forming seals and different spells shot out along with treasures, but his face was pale. Although he knew the iron sword was a Nirvana Void treasure, there was a difference in strength between Nirvana Void treasures. What he couldn't imagine was the power of the sword energy. At this moment he obviously saw the sword energy around him, but he couldn't dodge. He let out a roar, and tried to break free from the two souls holding him in place. However, just at this moment, Wang Lin opened his eyes. His face was pale as he pulled back the iron sword. He then chopped down 6 times in a row. There was a total of 19 strikes. and they took nearly 60% of Wang Lin's origin energy. Afterwards, he retreated. The illusion of 19 giant swords suddenly appeared around Noble Money. With Wang Lin's current strength, he could use more, but the consequences of using them were greater than Wang Lin expected, so he forcibly interrupted the iron sword. With his cultivation level, he could control the sword at 19 strikes, but after 19, he wouldn't be able to stop even if he wanted to. He would only be able to use it until he ran out of strength. Chop! Wang Lin shouted, and the 19 giant swords immediately fell. They linked into continuous sword strikes and charged straight at Noble Money. This was unimaginably fast. Noble Money wasn't able to resist the 19 slashes from the Nirvana Void Sword. A thunderous rumble echoed as the sword slashes penetrated Noble Money's body. His body trembled and was instantly split into 19 parts. Blood erupted everywhere. A miserable roar echoed at the same time as Noble Money's body collapsed. He was, after all, a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator, so his origin soul escaped out from his head. He took that whisk treasure and quickly escaped. He was filled with unimaginable fear. He even had a feeling that this white-haired cultivator knew of the matter about the heaven-breaking sect. It was likely Shi Luoxing's death was related to this person. What sect is this person from to have such a powerful treasures? Could he be someone from the rank region? Thinking about this, Noble Money was extremely shocked. His origin soul fled like crazy. He had to tell his sect about this. He also understood that the second wave of his sect would arrive soon, so he only needed to last a bit more. Wang Lin's face was pale. The moment Noble Money's origin soul escaped, a flame appeared in Wang Lin's left eye. A monstrous flame appeared around him, forming a sea of flames. If you looked closely, you would see that there were 9 layers of flames. 9. Mysterious transformation. The moment the 9 layers of flame appeared, they rapidly contracted around Wang Lin. Wang Lin's body seemed to be burning as he took a step forward. His body disappeared with this step, and instead a white vermilion bird several hundred feet wide appeared. This white vermilion bird was Wang Lin. With a wave of his wings, Wang Lin caught up to Noble Money with a trail of flames and smashed into Noble Money's origin soul. Noble Money's origin soul's pupils shrank and let out a scream. He felt death approaching, and at this moment, it was too late to think. Madness filled his eyes as his hand moved and a destructive aura came from his origin soul. At this moment of danger, he chose to self-destruct his origin soul, but at his cultivation level, he could control his self-destruction. His arm suddenly exploded into a storm and closed on in the vermilion bird. The whisk treasure he was holding also exploded into countless white lines that charged at the vermilion bird. However, this wasn't able to stop the vermilion bird before it collided with Noble Money. Flames surrounded Noble Money's origin soul. Miserable screams echoed as Noble Money's origin soul weakened. He desperately retreated while covered in flames and quickly escaped. As he escaped, his hands formed seals and mysterious runes appeared around him. The soul of a giant python appeared before him. The moment it appeared, Noble Money inhaled, causing the soul of the giant python to shrink and collapse in an instant. After absorbing the soul of his life beast spirit, Noble Money escaped like crazy without looking back. The vermilion bird disappeared and Wang Lin appeared. His chest was a bloody mess and white bones were visible. He stared at the escaping Noble Money, and the killing intent in his eye became even stronger. All-Seer's soul merged with my divine sense. Wang Lin didn't use the stop spell, and instead formed a seal before pointing at the All-Seer's soul. The soul's eyes flashed and turned into a ray of light that entered Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin's body trembled and his eyes suddenly became calm. This calmness made it seem like his gaze had seen through everything. Out of all the cultivators Wang Lin had met in his entire life, the All-Seer was the only cultivator like this. After obtaining Qing Lin's fortune, Wang Lin gained enlightenment about Bai Fan's spells. After reaching the limit of magic arsenal, he could make the soul fuse with him. Ignoring the escaping Noble Money, Wang Lin slowly closed his eyes. At the same time, he lifted his left hand and pointed at distance. In an instant, a storm appeared in the distance, and the fog churned violently as yellow ripples spread. At the center of the ripples, a huge palm suddenly appeared with its forefinger raised and rest of the fingers forming a fist. Heavenly Fate Finger. Wang Lin used his own power and the all-seer's soul as a guide. The heavenly fate finger descended on the Cloud Sea Star system. It moved with unimaginable momentum and speed toward the escaping noble money. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't dodge the finger that eventually landed on his body. As the heavenly fate finger replaced everything before noble money, his soul finally collapsed into specks of light. The heavenly fate finger disappeared along with him. The surroundings were completely silent. From when Wang Lin first attacked until now, only a very short period of time had passed. Wang Lin took everything away and charged off into the distance. If my original body was here, this battle wouldn't have been so difficult. The 3 trials and 7 calamities, I don't know if the original body can successfully pass it. Wang Lin's right hand covered his chest. At this moment, countless white threads moved within his chest, giving off bursts of pain. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes as Wang Lin changed directions and disappeared into the horizon. 5 days later, when the continent of Mo Luo slowly appeared before his eyes, Wang Lin let out a breath of relief. He chose a direction after calculating where the cultivators would arrive from. He simply made a huge circle and was fortunate that he was able to successfully avoid any more conflicts. Wang Lin didn't know that shortly after he killed noble money, the death of Shi Luoxing was made known to the other sects. The space around that wild continent was immediately sealed tightly. The death of noble money shocked the Clear Flower sect. While sealing the area, they searched for the murderer like crazy, but by then Wang Lin was already far away. The cultivators from the rank region naturally found the corpse in the valley Shi Luoxing was in, and they all targeted the 5 poison sect. Facing the fierce gazes of all the sects, the 5 poison sect couldn't even explain. An undercurrent began to move in the rank region. After returning to the continent of Mo Luo, Wang Lin turned into a ray of light and headed toward the origin sect. He knew that the rank region was going to get chaotic. The rank region cultivators would widen their search, and at that time, his identity in the origin sect would be very important. Wang Lin's return didn't cause too much attention in the origin sect. He instantly appeared in the southern courtyard. The moment he appeared, he saw Xu Yun sitting outside the house and her startled expression. Xu Yun was about to speak, but Wang Lin didn't pay attention to her and waved his sleeves. Large amounts of herbs appeared, and soon formed a small mountain between them. "I am returning your herbs," Wang Lin said one thing and then entered the house. Xu Yun looked at the herbs before her and gasped. With her insight, she could tell that many of these herbs were difficult to obtain, and their value was far beyond the worth of the herbs Wang Lin had consumed. She was startled for a long time before finally recovering her senses and letting out a breath of relief. After Wang Lin left, she was scolded by her teacher daily and was very worried. Her teacher had said that if Senior Seng Niu didn't return, then when the Purple Dao sect arrived, she would be the one who brought ruin to the sect. Wang Lin sat inside the house with a serious gaze and pointed at his chest with his right hand. His face was still pale and he began to cultivate. Soon, flashes of white lines had started being forced out of his body. These white lines twisted and looked extremely ferocious. Wang Lin's right hand quickly grabbed the wild lines and dragged them out. Blood gushed out and dyed his clothes red. Staring at the white lines in his hand, coldness appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. He mercilessly squeezed them, and they collapsed into dust. Wang Lin continued to cultivate and force the white lines out of his body. He had spent all his time on the return journey on this, so there weren't many white lines remaining inside his body. On the 3rd day after Wang Lin returned to the origin sect, he had forced all the white lines out. After crushing the last white line into dust, his eyes shined. His right hand reached at the void, and his storage space appeared. The jade and the pill recipe on the beast bone flew out into his hand. Wang Lin took a deep breath. After obtaining them, he hadn't had any time to study them. Now that he could finally relax, he was about to study them. However, just at this moment, his eyes suddenly narrowed and he put the jade and beast bone away. In a flash, he disappeared and charged underground toward where his original body was. The trial. Leo's speech is often puzzling. What with all the wishing for likes on the video and sharing Leo's work, leading the audience to erupt in laughter, the comments section filled with a lively atmosphere. Chapter 1157, One Trial, 2 Calamities. The ancient gods' 3 trials, 7 calamities were like the cultivators' 5 heaven-s blights. It was a knife hanging above their heads. If they survived, their cultivation level would increase greatly, but if they failed, they die. The first trial had 2 calamities, and the second trial also had 2 calamities. The third trial has 3 calamities. The ancient gods' 3 trials, 7 calamities were even more strange than cultivators' 5 heaven-s blights. According to Wang Lin's memories, the more powerful the ancient god, the later the trials and calamities would come. Although an ancient god would normally experience the first trial at 6 stars, some ancient gods experienced it at 7 stars. There was even a very small portion of ancient gods that faced their first trial at 8 stars. Tusi was one of them. He encountered the first trial at 8 stars and easily passed it. It increased his power greatly, and although he wasn't able to reach 9 stars, he was at the peak of 8 stars. If it wasn't for attempting to break through to the legendary star stage, he wouldn't have risked cultivating the flowing ink transformation divine technique. As for the third trial and the final 3 calamities, they were the highest trial an ancient god would face. As for what they were, Tusi didn't know. Tusi's memories didn't contain anything about encountering the first trial at 5 stars. Every time Wang Lin thought about this, he wryly smiled. The early arrival of his first trial was related to his incomplete ancient god body and the fact that he had overused his ancient god power in the demon spirit land. All of this caused him to be the first ancient god to suffer the first trial at 5 stars. The trial that an 8-star ancient god had easily passed was like life and death for Wang Lin. One of the calamities of the first trial was the body calamity. Back in the Vermilion Bird Divine sect, Wang Lin's lower half was all bones. Now, after arriving at the Cloud Sea Star system, this intensified, and everything from his chest and below were bones. This was merely the beginning, the arrival of the first calamity. The body would continue to decay until there was no flesh and blood left. Then the first calamity would end and the second one would begin. If there were no changes, his original body would without a doubt die. Fortunately, Wang Lin had obtained Tusi's heart blood, so he had a fighting chance. The original body was sitting deep underground under the origin sect. There wasn't a trace of flesh or blood. Only bones remained. There was a thin, blood-colored film wrapped around the bones. If you looked carefully, you would see a very tiny amount of blood moving between the film and bones. As Wang Lin's avatar closed in, his original body's eye sockets revealed ghostly lights as if he was awakening. He silently looked at his original body and sat down to protect it. He also put all his focus into his original body to help it share the pain. Time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye, 3 days went by. In these 3 days, the original body's suffering intensified. The feeling of not having any flesh or blood, but still retaining your sanity, was enough to make people crazy. During these 3 days, the original body's size had expanded 10-fold. At this moment, under the origin sect, there was a 100-foot-tall skeleton calmly laying there. There were flashes of bloodlight as the blood under the film flowed faster. After another 3 days, Wang Lin's skeleton finished expanding and reached over 3,000 feet tall. The small amount of blood was still flowing through the bones, all of which were bigger than a person. However, the blood flow slowed down until it eventually dissipated. This blood was Tusi's heart blood. During these days, the heart blood was being slowly absorbed by the original body's bones. When all the blood was absorbed, the first calamity ended. Just at this moment, the original body's eyes shined brightly, as if his gaze could pierce through the earth and see the blue sky above. At the same time, a wave of crackling sounds echoed underground. Bone calamity. This crackling sound came from his original body's right foot. It was as if a giant hand was slowly crushing his huge right foot bone. His bone shattered and turned into ashes. Under this unimaginable pain, the original body was trembling. However, this crackling sounds didn't stop. They got even more intense. It was like thunder echoing underground. Every crack was a bone on the original body collapsing. Wang Lin's avatar's face was pale. He clenched his teeth as he shared the unimaginable pain with the original body. The veins on his face were swollen and large drops of sweat fell. The bone calamity descended ruthlessly like this. With the ancient gods' powerful vitality, even with no flesh or blood left, they could recover as long as there was a trace of vitality remaining. The first trial was vitality. After the vitality was erased, The bone calamity would arrive and attempt to destroy the bones that could no longer recover without the vitality. Once all the bones were destroyed, the result would be death. If his original body died, his avatar would perish. If he wanted to pass the bone calamity, he would have to reawaken his vitality to fight it until his bones reformed. The newly formed bones would be several times stronger than before. Magic treasures wouldn't be able to damage them at all. Therefore, even though the pain was worse than death, he still endured. Both his avatar and original body endured. He endured the pain of his bones fracturing and collapsing. He had to wait until the moment all his bones shattered to get the biggest gains. If not, even if he resisted and was successful, only some of the bones be reformed and the rest would stay the same as before. If that happened, he would have wasted this chance. However, Wang Lin understood that the longer he resisted, the lower the success rate. As more bones collapsed, the difficulty increased. In truth, ignoring those who went through this at 8 stars, almost all 7-star ancient gods would choose to wait for all their bones to collapse before they resisted. This was all so they could change this calamity into a great fortune. This idea was good, but it was rare that anyone actually lasted that long. Most of the time, when only a human fingernail-sized amount of bone remained, they couldn't help but begin to resist. As a result, that fingernail-sized bone would become the only flaw on the body of most ancient gods. Since star ancient gods were like this, even fewer star ancient gods were able to hold out until the last moment. The last moment was like the end of the path. There were countless steps forward if you succeeded, but if you took a step back, it meant death. Wang Lin wasn't sure if he could last until the last moment. However, in order to reform his flesh and blood so he could become a true ancient god and not an incomplete one, Wang Lin decided to risk it all. My avatar is a heaven-defying cultivator. My original body is bloodline-defying. I, Wang Lin, spent my life cultivating the word defy. I defy the heavens, defy the calamity, and even defy fate. A mere calamity isn't enough to stop my defying path. Wang Lin's avatar and original body shined, revealing unyielding gazes. There was no shout or roar. Just that unyielding gaze was able to display Wang Lin's defying nature. It was invisible and heaven-shaking. Crackling sounds echoed loudly as his entire right leg had collapsed, and even everything up to his knee on his left leg had turned to ashes. The sound of bones collapsing gradually transmitted to the surface. During this half a month, the entire continent of Moluo could hear the thunderous rumbles coming from the ground. At first it was faint, but it grew louder and louder. Now even the earth was trembling slightly. The mortals on the continent were terrified as they didn't know what was happening. They could only kneel and pray for the gods to not be angry. The cultivators of the Origin sect put a huge importance on this matter. They sent out almost the whole sect to investigate. These noises sounded like roars, and every time it fell in their ears they couldn't help but be shaken. Li Shangdong and Lu Yanfei, along with the other 2 elders, floated in the air and looked at the earth. Due to their cultivation levels, they clearly felt where the roars were coming from. Li Shangdong wanted to go down to check, but he was stopped by Lu Yanfei. However, now, the roars were even more intense, almost heaven-shaking. If this was it, it wouldn't be an issue, but all the origin energy on the continent began to stir as if there was an invisible vortex sucking in origin energy from all directions. What terrified the 4 of them even more was that a large amount of origin energy was gathering outside the continent. Although this origin energy was outside, once it rushed in, the barrier around the continent would collapse instantly. Thinking about the consequences of this, the 4 of them would feel their scalps tingle. What shocked them even more were the fierce beasts that appeared in the fog outside the continent. For some reason, large amounts of fierce beasts were lured to the continent of Moluo. They all stared fiercely at the continent, but they also showed hesitation. They were going to charge in several times, but were held off. It was as if there was something really attractive here for the fierce beasts, but rationality made them not dare to move. This resulted in hesitation. There were rank 5 and even rank 6 beasts among them. What terrified Li Shangdong even more was that he even saw a rank 7 beast. A rank 7 beast was enough to battle a mid-stage Nirvana cleanser cultivator. Junior Sister Lu, I don't know why you stopped the 3 of us, but today we must go check. We must know exactly what is happening that is causing this unexpected surge in origin energy and attracting all the fierce beasts that hide in the star fog. Li Shangdong thought of the rank 7 beast and his mind trembled. He stared at Lu Yanfei with a very serious expression. The other two elders also silently looked at Lu Yanfei. Lu Yanfei bit her lower lip and silently nodded. Leo holds a stuffed bear close to his chest, muttering prayers for likes on the video, sprinkling followers in his shares, as the children beside him start to crave. Chapter 1158. Repeated bone refinement. One of the two elders worriedly said, "If it was only rank 7 beast, it would be fine. I just fear that if this continues, a rank 8 beast that could fight a peak Nirvana cleanser cultivator might appear. And what if rank 9 beasts that are no different from Nirvana Shatterer cultivators are attracted by then? My continent of Mo Luo will be plunged into chaos." Li Xiangdong pondered a bit and slowly said, "I don't think so. After all, this continent is located near the edge of the rank region, so there shouldn't be any powerful monsters around." "I hope so." The old man shook his head and revealed a bitter face before looking at Lu Yanfei. Even now, the three of them didn't know why Li Yanfei had stopped them from checking. Lu Yanfei didn't explain. She turned into a ray of light and charged down. The three of them looked at each other and silently followed Lu Yanfei. When they got near the ground, there was a flash of light and they penetrated the ground. Underground, the four of them slowed down as the roars became even more clear. Due to being closer to the sound, not only did their minds tremble, their bodies trembled as well. Terrifying fluctuations came from the depths, causing them to feel pressure in their souls. It was as if there was a terrifying existence that could shock the world, and before it, the three of them were merely ants. This clear feeling immediately caused them to stop and their expressions to become serious. Only Lu Yanfei's eyes lit up and bit her lower lip, but no one knew what she was thinking. "What the hell is it to give off such pressure? These fluctuations shouldn't be a treasure." The three of them were extremely cautious. After hesitating for a bit, Li Xiangdong clenched his teeth and led the way. He wanted to see what exactly was down there. The deeper they went, the greater the pressure became. The roars became even more deafening, causing them to tremble. This pressure made them feel like they were facing the end of the world. The four moved slower and slower, and the pressure coming from underground contained a hint of madness. The moment the four of them felt it, they immediately trembled. "I suggest we leave immediately." Lu Yanfei had been silent the whole way, and this was the first time she had sent out a message. The remaining three silently thought for a moment before Li Xiangdong's eyes lit up, and he said, "I refuse to leave without knowing what is down below." With that, he immediately charged deeper. The two elders hesitated for a bit before following him. Lu Yanfei let out a sigh and also followed. As the four of them went deeper, the source of the sound became closer. At this moment, the roar was already far stronger than thunder. From their current position, they could hear the original sound, a heaven-shaking, crackling sound. This noise was like the sound of bones breaking. This caused them to feel all the bones in their bodies tingle. However, just as the four closed in and were about to enter the source, a crazed divine sense swept by. "Leave this place." This divine sense was very powerful and smashed into them like a storm. Li Xiangdong was the closest and was directly knocked back by the storm. His body trembled and he coughed out blood as popping sounds echoed in his body. He retreated without hesitation and monstrous fear filled his eyes. Not only him, but even the two elders' bodies trembled as they coughed out blood and immediately retreated. Their minds trembled and fear and terror appeared in their eyes. Even Lu Yanfei's body trembled as blood came out of the corner of her mouth. However, her eyes became even brighter as this voice confirmed the speculation in her heart. Which senior is cultivating here? Junior is the origin sect. Li Xiangdong clasped his hands while retreating and tried to speak. Scram! The divine sense spread out again, but it was several times stronger and crazier than before. This divine sense formed a storm that caused the continent of Mo Luo to tremble. A crazed power came from the depths and charged toward the four of them. Li Xiangdong's body trembled and he coughed out even more blood. Under the impact of this power, they were forced back in a straight line as if there was an unimaginable force pushing them. The ground trembled before they were thrown out from underground. Just as he broke through the surface and floated in the air, there was another roar. The two elders were thrown out from underground, both coughing out blood. They were in an extremely sorry state, and Lu Yanfei was the same. The four of them stood in the air, their eyes filled with terror. Their hearts trembled as they looked at each other. Lu Yanfei took a deep breath as she wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth, and slowly said, "I already told you all not to go." Fortunately, although Grand Uncle Master was angry, he didn't hurt us much. Grand Uncle Master? The three of them were pale, and that crazed divine sense was imprinted in their minds. Just thinking about it frightened them, but Lu Yanfei's words startled them. Lu Yanfei pondered for a moment, and softly said, "Grand Uncle Master Lu Zhihao. You all should have heard of him." Ignoring the four of them for now, deep underground, Wang Lin's 3,000-foot-tall body had almost all of its bones shattered, leaving behind bone ashes in the shape of a person. There was still thunderous roars coming from it. Even a majority of the skull had shattered, and it was still collapsing. This kind of pain was indescribable and was burning the minds of both the original body and the avatar. Just at this moment, crackling sounds came from the remaining half-skull, and it collapsed even more. It continued to collapse, and the bone ashes scattered. The skull continued to shrink until it was only the size of a human palm. This small piece of bone was really insignificant to a 3,000-foot ancient god, but Wang Lin still endured, despite the fact that this suffering was enough to make him go mad. The rumbling continued. The palm-sized bone began to disintegrate, and became smaller and smaller. It was only the size of a fingernail, but due to the aftermath of the collapse, it completely dissipated. Time seemed to stop, and the world seemed to no longer function. The broken bones turned to ashes and began to dissipate. At this moment, Wang Lin's avatar suddenly opened his eyes and raised his right hand. "Stop!" With one word, the avatar's body immediately trembled. Rumbling sounds came from his body as he coughed out blood and was knocked back. At the same time, the dissipating ashes paused for a moment. Shortly after, the aura of an ancient god spread out like crazy. The origin energy outside the continent of Moluo rushed in and closed in on this place. A silent roar that could penetrate the soul echoed underground. It rushed out and echoed within the ears of every mortal, cultivator, and creature on the continent. This roar contained the defying will. Wang Lin's avatar suffered serious injuries from the backlash of using the stop spell to win a chance for the original body to survive. The dissipating ashes began to condense at an unimaginable speed and formed a fingernail-sized piece of bone. During the recondensing processes, the origin energy of the continent mixed in with the bone. The reformed bone was far stronger than this original body's original bones. This fingernail-sized bone continued to grow until it was 7 inches long. This 7-inch bone took a good chunk of origin energy stored on the continent of Moluo. The bone was still growing and soon formed a curved skull about 5 feet large. On the bone, there was a burst of black light, and that black light was the bone calamity that was crushing the ancient god's bones. The bone calamity was constantly destroying the bones while the original body kept reforming them. This cycle continued until the bones of the original body reached a peak. Bursts of silent roars echoed as the 5-foot skull began to grow. Eventually, all the origin energy on the continent of Moluo was absorbed, leaving nothing behind. At this moment, Wang Lin's skull had completely reformed. Red light shined out from his eye sockets, revealing an unyielding will. "I am an ancient god that dares to fight the heavens. A mere bone calamity can destroy me." The red light from the original body's eyes was bright, and his neck began to form. At the same time, the origin energy gathered outside the continent of Moluo rushed in toward the protective barrier. The protective barrier collapsed like paper. The moment it collapsed, the powerful origin energy entered. It turned into a storm and rushed at the origin sect. All the cultivators in the origin sect had already evacuated. They were staring at the storm of origin energy rushing underground. The collapse of the barrier and the surge of origin energy caused the fierce beasts outside to enter. However, before they could spread out, they were pulled into the origin sect by this suction force. The sky was shrouded by the fog, and the fog flowed like a river into the ground. Those fierce beasts outside seemed to be frightened. All of them retreated and didn't dare to close in. Large amounts of origin energy and fog were quickly absorbed by Wang Lin. The rumbling continued as Wang Lin's bones reformed at an incredible speed. His bones recondensed while confronting the bone calamity. Not only had his skull and neck reappeared, Wang Lin's entire upper body had reformed. Although the bone calamity was strong, it was forced to retreat from Wang Lin's defying will and desperate struggle. It wasn't able to stop the bones from regenerating at all. All the origin energy and star fog within 50 kilometers of the continent of Moluo were pulled in. From afar, it looked like a giant vortex had formed, and the origin sect was the center of the vortex. Even further away, a giant lion-shaped beast covered in thorns moved toward the continent of Moluo with a greedy gaze. None of the fierce beasts dared to approach it when the aura of a rank 8 beast spread out. Leo's birthday has passed. Thank you all for your blessings, your praise. Leo will continue to strive, producing increasingly captivating chapters. Brothers, keep your sharp tongues sheathed, stored away carefully. Chapter 1159 might. All the origin energy within 50 kilometers was rushing in, but it still wasn't enough. Wang Lin's upper body had reformed and his lower half was still reforming. The origin energy continued to surge in, being pulled from the surrounding 500-kilometer area. This giant vortex stirred all the origin energy and star fog in the area, but its expansion didn't stop. After all, compared to the continent of Moluo, 500 kilometers was truly insignificant. 1,500 kilometer, 2,500 kilometers, 5,000 kilometers, 15,000 kilometers, 50,000 kilometers, 150. 0,000 kilometers, 500,000 kilometers. The fog and origin energy within 500,000 kilometers of the continent of Moluo went crazy and rushed into the continent. Very few people in the Cloud Sea knew where the star fog came from. It was as if this star fog had always been here. If one looked back, one would find that before the celestial realm collapsed and the ancient celestial realm was still there, this fog existed as well. What exactly the star fog was a difficult question for the cultivators in the Cloud Sea to explain. They only knew that it was because of this star fog that the Cloud Sea was filled with fierce beasts. Wang Lin didn't too know what the star fog was, but as the fog merged into his reforming bones, he had a strange feeling. However, he wasn't able to figure out why. As the origin energy from within 500,000 kilometers of the continent of Moluo rushed in, Wang Lin's legs began to reform. The explosive growth speed was stronger than the bone calamity, and a moment later, his left leg formed. His right leg soon reformed as well. After all the bones in his body had reformed, the bone calamity disappeared. However, the calamity wasn't over yet. After his bones were restored, tendons began appearing and flesh reformed around his bones. However, the moment this flesh reappeared, it immediately collapsed. The flesh calamity arrived, and thus achieved the goal of grinding away his vitality. Wang Lin had already prepared for this phenomenon. The moment the flesh calamity appeared, the avatar wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and opened up his storage space. Fist-sized blood crystals he had gotten from the land of the ancient god flew out. He had used some of them to help the original body could keep a trace of vitality, and he was going to use the rest here. At this moment, these blood crystals flew out and fell on Wang Lin's bones. The moment they landed, they invaded his bones. The moment Wang Lin took out the blood crystals, all of the retreating fierce beasts stopped, looked at the continent, and began to roar. There was a hint of madness in their eyes, as if the blood crystals were the best nourishment for them. As long as they caught a scent, they were willing to do anything for it. As the roars continued, these fierce beasts immediately changed direction and charged at the continent of Moluo. There were rank 5, 6, and 7 beasts among them. They all seemed to have gone crazy as they rushed down. The origin sect cultivators were shocked by these events. They were awakened by the fierce beasts rushing down. After Wang Lin's original body had absorbed the blood crystals, lines of blood appeared over the bones. As the origin energy and star fog surged in, flesh began to form along the lines of blood. At this moment, the roars of the fierce beasts entered the ground. Killing intent appeared in the eyes of the avatar, and the original body's eyes also gave off a ghostly glow. Crackling sounds echoed as the original body shrank from 3,000 feet to the size of a normal person. The avatar charged out and fused with the original body once more. After fusing with his original body, Wang Lin looked up and rushed out. Popping sounds echoed as he charged out from underground. The moment he charged out from underground, all of the fierce beasts rushed at him like crazy. Coldness flashed across Wang Lin's eyes as he appeared before an octopus-like beast and threw a punch with his right hand. With a bang, the fierce beast's body trembled and blood sprayed out everywhere, created a mist of blood. Even its soul had shattered, but an invisible energy appeared and entered Wang Lin's body. This invisible energy was the fierce beast's vitality and the thing Wang Lin needed the most. He clearly felt that his original body started reforming a bit faster when that vitality entered his body. Wang Lin quickly rushed to the side of another beast and punched. He almost left behind afterimages as he moved around punching. He caused blood to rain down on the continent of Mo Luo. Those fierce beasts wanted to devour the blood crystals Wang Lin had absorbed, but before they could succeed, they all exploded one by one. A thunderous rumble echoed across the sky. Wang Lin took one step and appeared next to a giant python. As it opened its mouth to devour Wang Lin's fist landed on its mouth. Popping sounds echoed. Then the vitality of the python entered Wang Lin's body and its mouth exploded. In a short period of time, more than 100 fierce beasts died. After absorbing their vitality, Wang Lin felt an extremely comfortable feeling in his body. His eyes lit up and he rushed out once more. The fierce beasts exploded one by one. When the surrounding cultivators that were hiding saw this, they were completely shocked. This was especially true for Li Shangdong and company. Lu Yanfei was slightly better as she was somewhat prepared. However, Li Shangdong stared dumbfoundedly at all of this, and the two elders beside him gasped. Grand Uncle Master. He is Grand Uncle Master that was a rank 6 beast, but it was killed by one punch spell from Grand Uncle Master. Just at this moment, the roar of a beast came from the distance. At the edge of the horizon, a 2,000 feet tall lion-shaped beast that was covered in thorns rushed over. The moment it appeared, all the surrounding fierce beasts scattered, as if they weren't willing to get close to it. Rank 8 sword lion beast? Li Shangdong's pupils contracted, and the two elders beside him exclaimed. Even Lu Yanfei sucked in a deep breath and revealed a nervous expression. Wang Lin suddenly raised his head, and his eyes shined. Before the eyes of every cultivator, he charged like a meteor into the sky toward the mighty rank 8 fierce beast. He moved faster than lightning. When he got close to the lion, Wang Lin mercilessly kicked with his left foot. A heaven-shaking roar echoed as the mighty beast's body trembled and exploded into a mist of blood. A large amount of vitality entered Wang Lin's body. He was like a god standing there, enjoying the large amount of vitality from the rank 8 beast. The surroundings suddenly became silent, and the greed from the surrounding fierce beasts disappeared and was replaced with fear. All the cultivators stared at this scene, almost unable to believe their own eyes. Rank 8 Li Shangdong was startled and his mind was blank. The two elders behind him were also in a daze. They were completely shocked. Leo truly didn't realize today was May 20th. Leo's already married, not caring about this day at all. Truly no intention. Truly no intention. I'm already married. Yes, just like that. CHIRP, CHIRP, CHIRP. Chapter 1160, Li Chia Mei. Just one kick was able to kill a rank 8 beast. Although a rank beast could battle a peak nirvana cleanser cultivator, it couldn't use treasures. It could only use the law it understood as spells. However, it was still a rank 8 beast. Even in the Cloud Sea, a cultivator that could instantly kill a rank 8 beast was strong enough to be among the powerful. Li Shangdong and company stared dumbfoundedly at all of this. They felt like this Grand Uncle Master they had never seen before was filled with mystery and majesty. Even though they had doubts about Wang Lin's identity, they chose to ignore it without any hesitation. With this powerful cultivator in my origin sect, it will only be a matter of time before my origin sect dominates the rank region. Li Shangdong and the two elders looked at each other with high spirits. If they knew that Wang Lin had killed a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator from the rank region, they would be even more shocked. When the fierce beasts saw Wang Lin's might, all the greed in their eyes disappeared and was replaced with fear. They immediately began to escape and were about to leave the range of the continent of Mo Luo. Wang Lin didn't care about what the surrounding cultivators thought. He continued to absorb the vitality of the rank 8 beast to resist the flesh calamity. After several breaths of time, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and looked at the retreating fierce beasts. He moved forward like a harvester of life and instantly closed in on one of the escaping fierce beasts. He directly punched the beast, creating a rain of blood and vitality. Flashes of light filled the sky as Wang Lin moved like lightning across the sky. Every time there was a flash, a fierce beast would collapse. In an instant, Wang Lin chased them outside the continent of Mo Luo. The flashes of light continued and screams echoed across the starry sky. What awaited all the fierce beasts that were lured over by the blood crystals was a massacre. This massacre lasted for about 7 minutes before it gradually ended. Finally, there were no more fierce beasts within 5,000 kilometers of the continent of Moluo. Those few that escaped held a terrifying memory they could never forget. There was a cultivator on the continent of Moluo that was like a god. The protective barrier around the continent of Moluo was repaired, and everything seemed to have returned to normal, as if nothing had changed. However, the shock all the cultivators of the Origin sect experienced was still there. At this moment, outside the southern courtyard, Li Shangdong, Lu Yanfei, and the other 2 elders stood there. Although they had been there for a long time, they weren't impatient at all. All the cultivators in the southern courtyard were relocated to the other 3 courtyards. Aside from Xu Yun, who was next to Lu Yanfei, there were no other disciples remaining. These herbs were all brought back by Grand Uncle Master. Li Shangdong's gaze fell on the herbs in the courtyard. After seeing Xu Yun nod, his expression became excited. At this moment, deep underground below the courtyard, Wang Lin sat there with his original body sitting on the opposite side, silently cultivating. His original body had mostly recovered aside from pieces of flesh that were still growing while resisting the last of the first trial. Time slowly passed. After 3 days, light flashed on Wang Lin's chest and the flesh calamity disappeared. He had successfully passed the first trial and 2 calamities of the 3 trials' 7 calamities. The original body slowly opened his eyes, revealing a bright light. An invisible aura spread out, his skin was even more coarse, and his bones were even stronger. At this moment, the original body had become a true ancient god. It was no longer incomplete like before. After devouring endless origin energy and the mysterious fog, the cultivation level of the original body had increased greatly. Another star appeared next to the 5 stars on his forehead. Although this star was a bit blurry and not fully formed, it made Wang Lin ecstatic. Ancient gods were not like cultivators. Each star was simply too difficult to obtain. In the past 1,000 years, Wang Lin went through many hardships and took countless risks to finally be able to make his ancient god body reach 5 stars. Although the 6th star was still blurry, it could use far more strength than before. More importantly, once an ancient god reached 6 stars, they would be able to produce their own moongazer serpent. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Wang Lin left his original body in the depths of the continent to continue absorbing origin energy and begin forming his moongazer serpent. Wang Lin left the underground and appeared in the house in the courtyard. He let out a deep breath, and his mood was very pleasant. This original body passing the trial would increase his strength in the Cloud Sea greatly. With his avatar and original body combined, killing an early-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivator wouldn't be as difficult as before. However, the gap between early, mid, late, and peak Nirvana Shatterer is great. I don't know if I can stand up to mid-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivators with my original body and avatar fused. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he pushed open the door and walked out. The moment Wang Lin appeared, a gentle breeze blew on his face, and it felt very comfortable. The barrier was activated once more, so the sky was blue and white clouds could be seen. Looking at the herbs in the courtyard, Wang Lin made a decision. He would take some time to increase his cultivation level using the unique alchemy of the Cloud Sea. While pondering, Wang Lin's gaze fell on the 5 people outside, and he slowly said, "You all can come in." His voice was calm, but it contained a trace of majesty. The moment it fell in the ears of the 5 people outside, they all took deep breaths. They were tense but filled with respect as they walked inside. Xu Yun was even more nervous as she followed inside after Lu Yanfei. The moment Li Shangdong and company entered, they respectfully said, "Disciple greets Grand Uncle Master." I didn't know Grand Uncle Master had returned, and we neglected to greet Grand Uncle Master. Please punish us. After a brief conversation, everyone left. Xu Yun could no longer live here and returned to the southern pavilion with Lu Yanfei. The entire southern courtyard was now a restricted area that no disciples were allowed to enter. At the same time, under Wang Lin's order, large amounts of high-quality pills and pill recipes were sent to him. However, none of these pills could catch Wang Lin's eye. After observing them, he only kept the recipes and had people take the pills away. I awaits. While Wang Lin was studying alchemy, a mad search due to Shi Luoxing's death began far away from the continent of Moluo. The cultivators of the various rank 6 sects sent out cultivators to check the continents. Some even went to the regions below rank 5. As the rank region began to move, the news of the jade and recipe began to spread. This alarmed the rank region and even caught the attention of the rank region. Rays of lights flew out from the rank and 8 regions toward the sealed wild continent in the rank region. The star fog in the depths of the cloud sea was extremely dense, so much so that even a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator could only spread their divine sense out 500 feet. Rushing into the star fog without preparation was like going in blind, and it was very easy to get lost. The most powerful fierce beasts lived here. Some even used spells to make their bodies one with the fog to comprehend law. If no cultivator provoked them, they wouldn't take the initiative to attack. Compared to them, the few cultivation planets in the star fog were like outsiders, completely insignificant. However, the power contained within these few cultivation planets was heaven-shaking. Even these powerful beasts dreaded them and wouldn't dare to approach them. This was the rank 9 region of the Cloud Sea. There were 7 cultivation planets arranged in the Big Dipper formation at the edge of the rank region. This created a layer of protection around them, making it so there was no difference between them. At this moment on the first planet of the formation, under millions of layers of protection, there was a prairie, and on that prairie stood a towering building. This building was a statue of a cultivator pointing at the sky, seeming to be cursing at it. A difficult-to-describe sense of majesty enveloped the area. The prairie was completely silent, and only a few small spirit beasts would sometimes appear. They played around and quickly moved off into the distance. After a long time, a ray of light closed in from the horizon. There was a woman inside the ray of light. She was beautiful, but she had a strange hair color. She had a head of blue hair. In the entire Cloud Sea, only one person had that hair. That was the rank 9 heaven-breaking sect Xianxia. She began cultivating at age 5, reached the foundation establishment stage at age 7, core formation at age 19, nascent soul at age 26, soul formation at age 37, soul transformation at age 45, and ascendant at age 61. After 100 years of cultivating, she was at the peak of the illusory yin stage. Then the entire heaven-breaking sect poured their effort into cultivating her. After more than 400 years, she reached peak of the Nirvana Scryer stage. Then, 300 years later, she became a mid-stage Nirvana Cleanser cultivator. After 500 years of training outside, she became the youngest Nirvana Shatterer cultivator in the heaven-breaking sect. To this day, she had cultivated for more than 1,300 years and had reached the late stage of Nirvana Shatterer. In the Cloud Sea, the name Li Qianmei was a legend. Disciple Li Qianmei greets ancestor. The light disappeared, revealing a beautiful woman inside. Sima Mo's jade has appeared. Take a trip to the rank region. If possible, find the person who found the jade and bring them back along with the jade. An ancient voice filled with melancholy slowly echoed from the statue. Li Qianmei respectfully nodded and left. There was a white-haired old man sitting inside the statue. There were many spots on his rotting body and there was reminiscence in his eyes. After a long time, he shook his head and let out a sigh. Senior brother Sima back then, perhaps it was teacher who was wrong. Leo continues to read. Today is Monday, wishing for just a few more likes and followers for the VIDEO channel. Chapter 1161, Devour Pill, Vast Dao. The entire continent of Moluo calmed down. Wang Lin spent all day practicing alchemy, and the Origin sect disciples would often hear explosions coming from the southern courtyard. No one dared to enter, and they all revealed looks of respect when they passed by. Wang Lin had studied the beast bone recipe. In the end, he had a gloomy expression. He pondered for a long time, ignoring the question of whether the effects were true. Just the herbs required to make it were mostly things he had never heard of. After searching the Origin sect's records, Wang Lin found some clues. 3 of the herbs, Star Transformation Wood, Dragon Star Grass, and Annihilation Flower, existed tens of thousands of years ago. Even then they were extremely rare, and they were basically extinct nowadays. However, there were some clues in the records of the Origin sect. It seemed in their rank main sect, there was still a small piece of Star Transformation Wood. Most importantly, this Nirvana Void Pill required the souls of 9 rank 13 beasts. Only by fusing their souls could the pill refinement be carried out. If this was it, it wouldn't be an issue, but the rate of success was very low. Also, this beast bone fragment needed to be used as a primer. It needed to be melted into the pill. Every failure would cause this beast bone to become a bit darker, and once this beast bone was completely black, it would be impossible to refine the pill. Once it succeeded, the beast bone would dissipate and become part of the pill. Looking at the beast bone in his hand, although it wasn't black, it was already very dark. It probably couldn't be used more than a few times. This beast bone has obviously been refined several times by others, but they all failed. Otherwise, this beast bone would be gone, rather than saying the herbs or beast souls are rare. It is this beast bone that is strange. I just don't know what beast this bone belongs to, however. Even if there is only a 1% chance the effect of this pill is true, I must try it. Wang Lin held the beast bone and carefully studied it for a moment before pondering a bit and putting it away. One more thing appeared in his hand. It was the jade that came with the beast bone. After scanning it with his divine sense, his expression became strange. Wang Lin opened his storage space once more and took out the origin soul of the poisonous old woman. His eyes were calm as his finger pointed on her origin soul several times. Every time his finger made contact, her origin soul would tremble and become even weaker. A moment later, Wang Lin placed his right hand on the head of her origin soul and his divine sense spread out. He directly used soul search on her. Memories entered Wang Lin's mind, including the 5 poison cultivation method and things this person had encountered. Finally, Wang Lin found the memory regarding the pill recipe in jade. Time slowly passed. When night arrived, Wang Lin lifted his right hand. He put the weakened, but not yet dead origin soul away. He then looked at the jade and began to ponder. Wang Lin found out about the matter that occurred with the heaven-breaking sect 18,000 years ago, and also understood the role of this jade. There weren't any spells or cultivation methods inside. It was just a piece of identification token. This was the mark of the head disciple of the heaven-breaking sect from 18,000 years ago. This person was named Sima Mo. If there had been no accident, he would have become the next sect master of the heaven-breaking sect 18,000 years ago. It was him who took the beast bone and a group of cultivators. They split from the heaven-breaking sect and disappeared among the Cloud Sea Star system. 18,000 years ago, the heaven-breaking sect that entered the rank region had very complicated feelings toward their own members that left. They later learned that this group had suffered heavy casualties and disappeared completely. The sect master at the time, who was Sima Mo's teacher, sent out an order that lasted for tens of thousands of years. In the future, anyone who returns with Sima Mo's token will be allowed to enter the heaven-breaking sect and become the disciple of that generation's sect master. This order spread across the Cloud Sea and aroused the attention of many cultivators. This order piqued the interest of those who wished for an opportunity to rise up, and people went searching for clues of the missing heaven-breaking sect members. However, as time passed, not a single discovery was found, and thus this matter settled down. Until the 5 Poison sect got a report from their spy about Shi Luoxing's movement and speculations. Originally, the 5 Poison sect didn't care too much about it. After all, it had been too long and the clue was likely false. They had only sent out a few people to scout, and the poisonous old woman was the leader. No one thought this would be real. Wang Lin silently looked at the jade, and after a long time, he put it away. I may have a great use for this in the future. He no longer worried about the jade or the pill recipe. After calming down, he immersed himself in alchemy. Not only had he harvested a large amount of herbs on the wild continent, he had also gathered a lot of beast souls. They were mostly rank 5 beasts, so they were very suitable for Wang Lin's current cultivation level. There were some more beast souls inside his bag. They were the souls of the spirit beasts of the members of the Clear Flower sect. They were killed by the silver female corpse and then collected. Similarly, he also had the spirit snake, which was the poisonous old woman's life beast spirit. It had reached the peak of rank 6. Aside from these, the highest rank beast soul he had was the rank 8 beast he instantly killed. This soul was extremely precious, so Wang Lin didn't want to destroy it. He went into the Taoist temple and took that pill. After failing 3 times, he finally fused the soul in the pill to make a rank 8 soul parting death pill. After searching the poisonous old woman's memories, he found an interesting method to mutate beasts. This beast soul refining method was invented by a genius of the 5 Poison sect named Ren Uxin. It used a formation as a cage to hold beast souls. Then you use poison to make them devour each other and stimulate a mutation to create a more powerful soul. However, there was a huge drawback to this method, which was that the mutated beast soul could not devour normal beast souls. They could only devour other mutated beast souls. This result was a huge blow to the 5 poison sect. The success rate of refining a beast soul was not high, and the higher the rank, the lower the refinement rate. A rank 9 beast soul would require a large amount of rank 8 beast souls to devour each other, and a single mutated rank 8 beast soul required a large amount of rank 7 beast souls. Even if they accidentally created a high-level soul, the soul would still require a large amount of heavenly treasures for nourishment. Although it could be used for alchemy, there was still a chance of failure, and every failure would weaken it greatly. Wang Lin knew this point very well. The first pill he attempted to make failed more than 10 times. Although he succeeded, a large portion of the beast soul had dissipated, and the effect of the pill had lowered a lot. Even the 5 poison sect had to give up. Their sect couldn't withstand this kind of consumption. Even the rank 7 and 8 sects would find it difficult to do this. Even if they could, they really didn't need to refine a beast soul with their strength. It would be a lot easier to just go and catch one directly. After seeing this method, Wang Lin secretly calculated this, and the cost of this even shocked him. However, after carefully pondering for a bit, he intended to try it out. He learned the poison method from the poisonous old woman's memories and barely managed to refine a few portions. Wang Lin didn't choose the origin sect to test this but found a cave inside a mountain somewhere on the continent. He placed down a large number of restrictions before putting some rank 5 beast souls inside and spilling the poison. After observing for a few days to make sure they were devouring each other, he added more restrictions and returned to the origin sect. After cultivating for several days, Wang Lin took out the pills he refined, including the rank 8 one, and began to swallow them. The first one he took was a rank 5 pill. The soul beast inside wasn't able to resist against Wang Lin's origin soul at all and immediately dissipated. It fused with his origin soul and caused Wang Lin to enter a mysterious state. As Wang Lin continued to devour rank 5 pills, he vaguely saw something in that mysterious state. He saw beasts from their birth worshipping the world and absorbing the origin energy as they comprehended law. The beast souls inside the rank 5 pills weren't much use for Wang Lin. He was only taking these pills to get familiar with the feeling of borrowing the beast souls to comprehend the heavens. After taking the rank 5 pills, Wang Lin swallowed a rank 6 pill. The beast soul inside was equal to an early-stage Nirvana Scryer cultivator, and it immediately caused Wang Lin's domain to activate. It was as if he had transformed into the beast and gradually comprehended the heavens over countless years. These scenes felt very real and unreal. Wang Lin was immersed inside as he searched the complex comprehension for his own Tao. He was searching for the existence between true and false. After an unknown amount of time, when only the rank 8 pill remained, he awakened from his strange state. He looked blankly ahead and muttered, "To confirm one's Tao as one person is direct. To confirm one's Tao from various angles is indirect." The pills of the Cloud Sea aren't a fortune. They just give cultivators the change to seek Tao again and again. They use beast souls as another way to explore Tao, explore the laws of the world. Unlike the other 2-star systems, the Cloud Sea star system has managed to cut down the enlightenment process. However, beasts are still beasts. The way they comprehend Tao isn't direct, and we can clearly trace to the origin. Unless we refine a pill with a person's soul, or use the soul of something that has transcended from being a beast. Only then would the enlightenment be more clear. Otherwise, it requires one to swallow large amounts of pills in order to find the right Tao to confirm you own with. Tao is like a thought, and everyone's thoughts are different. If one wants to enrich one's own mind, they must learn other people's thoughts as well. The Cloud Sea chose to use beast souls, just like how the Alser chose to use his own disciples. While Wang Lin was confused, rays of light flew toward the continent of Moluo. The cultivators from the rank region had spread out their search and reached the continent of Moluo. They stepped into the protective barrier. "Leo has a nasal inflammation and a cold again. My nose is just like a running faucet. Frustrated." Chapter 1162. Those who harm others are constantly hurting themselves. The rank 6-5 poison sect was considered a relatively powerful force among the rank 6 sects. They were on par with the clear flower sect. There was a lot of friction between the two sects, and they constantly fought with each other. Zhou was a core disciple of the five poison sect. His cultivation level wasn't as high as the poisonous old woman S, only early stage nirvana cleanser. But he was a powerful member of the five poison sect, and the sect put a lot of focus on him. At this moment his expression was gloomy, and there was a blue light in his right eye. Although this blue light looked pretty, it came from cultivating a poison method from the five poison sect. Fellow cultivator Zhou has been gloomy the whole way. If someone who didn't know the situation saw you, they would be very confused as to why. A feminine voice came from a cultivator in black next to him. This cultivator was male, but the makeup on his face made him look like how he sounded. There was a flash of coldness in Zhou's eyes as he stared at the cultivator in black and said, "Zhao Yu, I have been enduring you the entire way. If you continue to speak sarcastically, don't blame me for not holding back. The five poison sect sure is mighty. I want to see if your five poison sect would dare to battle with my devil collection sect." The cultivator in black smiled, but this smile was extremely cold. The blue light from Zhou's right eye intensified, but just at this moment, a cold snort come from beside the two of them. "That's enough. The three of us are representatives of our respective sects to search for the traitor of the five poison sect. We cannot to fight amongst ourselves." The person who spoke was a middle-aged man who was at the mid-stage of Nirvana Cleanser. After he spoke, Zhou and Zhao Yu looked at each other with hostility. Then, they let out cold snorts and suppressed the origin energy they were going to use to attack. The middle-aged man was a core disciple of the top-rank 6th sect, the Dao Spell sect. Due to the poisonous old woman, it was very difficult for the five poison sect to explain the situation. In the end, they paid a great price to put this matter aside. They also had to send out core disciples as hostages in the name of looking for the poisonous old woman. However, the real reason was to keep an eye on members of the five poison sect. If they couldn't find the poisonous old woman in a short period of time, the five poison sect would face a great crisis. There were disciples from each sect following behind them. They all turned into rays of light and descended through the barrier around the continent of Moluo. "Zhou, Zhao Yu, follow me to the origin sect. You other disciples, scatter across the continent of Moluo and search every inch. Don't miss a spot. If you find anything, immediately report it." The middle-aged man's voice was calm, but it contained an unquestionable sense of majesty. The surrounding disciples quickly nodded and scattered to begin their search. They had been doing this every time they came across a continent, so they were very familiar with it. As for the three of them, they released their full cultivation and charged at the origin sect. The three rays of light gave off a thunderous rumble. It didn't take long for the three of them to arrive above origin sect in this arrogant manner. The cultivators of the origin sect naturally saw them. Lu Yanfei, Li Shangdong, and the other two elders all flew into the air to greet them. The four of them had heard of the news that the rank 6 sects had fully invaded the rank region in search for something. However, with their cultivation levels and status, the elders didn't know what exactly the rank 6 sects were searching for. Li Shangdong took a deep breath. When he got close, he clasped his hands and said, "The origin sect greets the upper domain sects." The two elders behind him also clasped their hands. The middle-aged man clasped his hands and said, "I am the Dao Spell sect S Feng Peishan. I didn't think I would see such a beauty here." The feminine-looking cultivator in black looked at Lu Yanfei and smiled. "I am the Devil Collection sect S Zhao Yu. Five poison sect. Zhou." Zhou's expression was still gloomy as his right eye released a blue light and swept past the cultivators of the origin sect. Li Shangdong took a deep breath and looked at the two elders beside him. They all had serious expressions. These three sects occupied almost 40% of the power in the rank region. They were so powerful that they only needed but a thought to wipe out the origin sect. If the three of them were like this, there's no need to talk about their disciples. They all lowered their heads and didn't dare to look. Only Lu Yanfei remained calm and didn't speak. Li Shangdong suppressed his thoughts and reluctantly smiled. "I don't know what the upper sects came here for. If you need my origin sect to help, then the origin sect will do its best to assist." Zhou let out a cold snort as he stepped forward and arrived before an origin sect disciple. His hand moved like lightning and hit the origin sect disciple. The disciple's body trembled and he coughed out blood before being thrown far away. This sudden scene caused the expressions of the origin sect cultivators to change greatly. Shu Yun glared angrily as she rushed forward toward that disciple and held up his body. This origin sect disciple's face was pale, and his body trembled. His face was glowing blue and he was suffering intense amounts of pain, but he was unable to scream. Li Yanfei's eyes became cold, and he slowly said, "Is the reason for the upper sects coming here just to injure an origin sect disciple?" Feng Peishan revealed a smile and shook his head. "Fellow cultivators of the origin sect, there's no need to be nervous. This matter is simply too important, and almost all the rank 6 sects have sent people out to search for a person. This person is very good at hiding, and the only clue is the poison on that person. The reason fellow cultivator Zhou attacked was because that junior had a trace of poison on him." Lu Yanfei's eyes became even more cold, and she waved her right hand at the injured origin sect disciple. His body trembled and a vortex appeared. Shortly after, his nascent soul flew out, and there was a small red snake inside. It was his life beast spirit. However, the little snake was very weak and about to die. Even the origin sect disciple's nascent soul was almost transparent. Zhou Hai's expression was still gloomy. After looking at the nascent soul, he no longer bothered with it. His eyes shined blue once more, and he looked at the remaining origin sect disciples. A moment later, he took a step and headed straight for Shu Yun, who was holding that disciple. Shu Yun's expression changed. It would be impossible for someone with her cultivation level to resist. At this moment, killing intent appeared in Lu Yanfei's eyes, and she charged forward. Her right hand formed a seal, and she waved. A gust of wind rushed toward Zhou Hai. Zhou Hai sneered, and his right eye flashed blue. 7 blue marks appeared around him. He completely ignored the wind and walked forward without any hesitation. A thunderous rumble echoed as the wind collapsed when it got near Zhou Hai. It wasn't able to stop him at all. In an instant, Zhou Hai was standing before Shu Yun. The killing intent in Lu Yanfei became even stronger. Shu Yun was her disciple, and she wasn't willing to stand by helplessly while watching someone seriously injure her. She was unable to endure and was about to attack. Even Li Shangdong and the other 2 elders were gloomy. After all, Shu Yun wasn't like that ordinary disciple before. She was a core disciple of the origin sect. Just at this moment, the Dao spell sect's Feng Peishi's eyes shined brightly, and he shouted, "If the people of the origin sect continue to interfere with my search, you will need to bear the consequences." This shout was earth-shattering, and was like a thunderous rumble. It was as if his voice contained the law of the world and a mysterious spell. Even the earth trembled slightly, and the clouds were pushed back. As he shouted, the disciples of the origin sect all trembled and blood flew out from their orifices. Even Lu Yanfei, Li Shangdong, and the 2 other elders couldn't help but tremble and were filled with shock. "Word of law!" Li Shangdong gasped. Zhou Yun revealed a look of disdain as he looked at the origin sect. His gaze swept by before he frowned as he looked at the southern courtyard of the origin sect. At this moment, Zhou Hai stared at the pale Shu Yun and gloomily said, "Little girl, you have the scent of the fish poison grass on you. This grass only grows in the nest of a rank best in no other place. It would be impossible for the people of origin sect to obtain it, yet the smell is still fresh. Where did you obtain it?" Shu Yun's face was pale. Zhou Hai's blue gaze gave off a powerful pressure that made Shu Yun's mind tremble. She bit her lower lip and looked at her teacher not far away. Zhou Hai revealed a gloomy smile and turned around to look at Lu Yanfei. "Fellow cultivator Lu, I'd like to listen to your explanation." Lu Yanfei calmly said, "We as the younger generation aren't powerful enough to obtain this herb from a rank 6 beast's nest. However, that doesn't mean the elder of the sect can. The fish poison grass was obtained by my Grand Uncle Master." "Grand Uncle Master?" Zhou Hai's eyes lit up and showed a hint of disdain as his divine sense spread out. He lowered his head and looked at the southern courtyard of the origin sect. He charged straight at the southern courtyard. He was very fast and closed in the southern courtyard, which was the forbidden area of the origin sect. The moment he entered, his body immediately trembled and shock filled his eyes. The southern courtyard was like a different world from the outside. He felt an aura that made his mind tremble from this very ordinary-looking courtyard. It was as if a powerful beast was living inside this courtyard. Just the aura it gave off was enough to cool all of Zhou Hai's blood. "Those who harm others are constantly hurting themselves." A cold and gloomy voice without any emotion blew by like the wind. When the voice entered Zhou Hai's ears, his expression changed greatly and immediately became pale. A powerful sense of danger enveloped his body, and he didn't hesitate to retreat. He wanted to escape this terrifying southern courtyard. However, just at this instant, Zhou felt an unimaginable force hit his chest like a mountain smashing into him. Zhou coughed out blood as he was thrown back. Popping sounds came from inside his body as he was thrown back, and the clothes on his chest were in tatters, revealing a black palm print on his chest. These past few days without wishing for likes on the video, the like button for the video has quickly fallen to 10th. Urgently wishing for you readers to flip through and see if there's a like button for the video left unpressed. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1163. Please forgive us. The clothes on his chest were torn and mixed with blood mist, creating a startling contrast with the black palm print. Zhou body was thrown out from the southern courtyard, and strands of vitality were coming out of the dark palm print. It only took a moment for his body to shrink until it was like a skeleton. The vitality that appeared seemed to be moved by a power, and entered the injured origin sect disciple. His body trembled as the blue light disappeared and he returned to normal. Zhou body landed on the ground with a bang and his face was ashen. His body continued to twitch and fear filled his eyes. The surroundings were completely silent, terrifyingly silent. The Devil Collection sect Xianxia gasped and shock filled his eyes. He stared at the southern courtyard and retreated several dozen feet. He didn't expect the Grand Uncle Master of the Origin sect to be so powerful. Thinking about his frivolous words where he teased Lu Yanfei, he felt his scalp tingle. It wasn't that he coveted Lu Yanfei, it was just that his personality was like this. In addition, all the rank 5 sects they had encountered had been very polite and respectful and allowed them to do as they wished. The Origin sect had such a powerful cultivator. Feng Peishan's pupil shrank and his expression became serious. Someone who could seriously injure Zhou this easily had to be a powerful old monster. Who gave you the right to hurt the people of my Origin sect? These cold words echoed across the world. They didn't contain law, nor were they earth-shattering like Feng Peishan's words, but these plain words were like sharp blades that stabbed into the hearts of Feng Peishan, Zhou and Zhao Yun. Just like the silence, these words contained a terrifying pressure. The rustled sounds of footsteps came from the southern courtyard as Wang Lin slowly walked out with his hand behind his back. He didn't have white hair. Now he had a head of black hair that moved without any wind. He gave off a sense of might without being angry, and his eyes were like the stars. When you looked at them, you would feel like your soul was being sucked into the illusion of true and false. This kind of feeling was very strange, and no one could explain it, but they clearly felt it. It was as if everything in the world could change at a thought. True and false formed a cycle. Dao domain! Feng Peishan's face turned pale. He had the highest cultivation level here, and was also a core disciple of the #1 rank 6 sect. So he immediately recognized that this Grand Uncle Master of the Origin sect was using Dao domain. What made him even more terrified was that the other party wasn't deliberately doing it, but Dao was naturally contained in his words and actions. This realm was far higher than word of law. Their Dao spell sect focused on the word Dao. In Feng Peishan's memories, only the head elder of the sect had a Dao domain like this. When he stands there, he is Dao. Feng Peishan subconsciously took a few steps back and thought about the words the head elder once said. You, Wang Lin calmly walked next to the struggling Zhou. He looked down as if he was looking at an ant. Zhou's body trembled. When he subconsciously looked at Wang Lin's eyes, his body trembled even more violently. He entered an illusion, as if the person who hurt him was the world, and he was merely a weak existence within that world. His heart pounded like crazy and his mind was a mess. He couldn't see through the cultivation of the person before him, but at this moment, he felt like none of the elders or even the sect head of his own sect could make him feel this terrified. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze as he looked up at the Devil Collection sect Zhao Yu and calmly asked, or was it you? Zhao Yu subconsciously licked his lips. He looked at Zhou struggling on the ground and then at Wang Lin. His expression suddenly became respectful. Junior Devil Collection Sect, S. Zhao Yu greets Senior. This Zhao Yu immediately clasped his hands and became extremely respectful to hide his fear. However, he didn't dare to look at Wang Lin's eyes at all. Or was it you? Wang Lin's gaze fell on the Dao Spell Sect S. Feng Peishan. Feng Peishan's face became pale as he respectfully clasped his hands and whispered, "Senior, please forgive us. Earlier you said that if they stopped you from hurting my origin sect disciples, we have to suffer the consequences." Wang Lin coldly looked at Feng Peishan. Sweat came out from Feng Peishan's forehead, and he didn't dare to look at Wang Lin's eyes. He had a feeling that if this person became angry, he would perish in an instant. After pondering for a bit, Feng Peishan clenched his teeth and his right hand mercilessly hit his chest. With a bang, his body trembled and he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. His expression became even more pale, and his origin soul was injured. Feng Peishan didn't wipe away the blood on the corner of his mouth, and he bitterly said, "Does this appease Senior's anger?" Wang Lin's expression remained neutral. Then he looked at Zhao Yu. Zhao Yu wryly smiled. Since Feng Peishan didn't dare to provoke this person, how could he dare to? Moreover, he didn't even see how this person had attacked and seriously injured Zhou Hai. Even if he had tried to resist, it would have been pointless. Zhao Yu clenched his teeth as he lifted his right hand and mercilessly hit his chest. He coughed out blood as he retreated a few steps and clasped his hands. "Please don't be angry, Senior." This scene made all the Origin Sect disciples very excited. They all looked at Wang Lin with reverence. Li Shangdong and company were the same. Wang Lin calmly said, "You all can keep searching." No need, Feng Peishan quickly spoke, but before he could finish, Wang Lin interrupted him. "After you finish searching, quickly get the hell out of the continent of Mo Lu." "As you order." Feng Peishan wryly smiled. He knew that their actions had already angered the Grand Uncle Master of the Origin Sect. The reason he hadn't killed them was because he was concerned about the sects they were from. If Teacher finds out that we offended an old monster who has a Dao domain, it will be difficult to avoid punishment. Even Teacher wouldn't easily offend such a powerful cultivator. Not to mention seriously injuring Zhou Hai with a wave of his hand. If he wanted to kill Zhou Hai would already be dead. Letting out a sigh, Feng Peishan remembered what his teacher said before he left. His teacher had once said that there were many people above him, and that there were many old monsters hiding out there. There had to be a few living in the rank 5 sects. Many of these rank 5 sects had inheritances for many years, and there might be a few who left early but had heaven-shaking power. Although these people would not be famous, if they encountered them, they had to be careful. This was why they had to politely explain and not offend them if they met such an old monster during this search. Feng Peishan respectfully left, but after pondering a bit, he still searched the continent of Mo Luo carefully. After finding nothing, all the disciples gathered and left with him, helping support Zhou Hai. It wasn't until they left the barrier that Feng Peishan and Zhao Yu let out sighs of relief. As for Zhou Hai, he swallowed some pills and recovered enough to fly. His expression was still pale, and there was a lingering sense of fear in his eyes. Feng Peishan said, "Fellow cultivator Zhou, please try to describe in detail how that senior attacked after you entered the southern courtyard." Zhou Hai still felt lingering fear in his heart. After silently pondering for a moment, he said that Senior's cultivation is at least mid-stage Nirvana Shatterer or higher. I didn't see him attack. The moment I entered the southern courtyard, I felt an unimaginable origin energy gather into a palm, and it landed on my chest. After saying that, he looked at his chest. The palm print was still black. Zhao Yu suddenly asked, "Is it a poison attack?" Zhou Hai shook his head and said, "That senior didn't have any sign of using poison to attack, so it can be that poisonous old woman. Also, she doesn't have this kind of strength. I also secretly observed the members of the Origin Sect. Their reverence and sense of glory was not false. That person was indeed their Grand Uncle Master." "That's true." Feng Peishan nodded and said, "If that person was really related to the poisonous old woman or knew about the matter with the jade, then he simply wouldn't have acted and would remained hidden. It would be easy to do so with his cultivation. He wouldn't have hurt Zhou Hai or made Zhao Yu and I pay a price." Zhao Yu nodded. He thought about what happened and said, "This Grand Uncle Master of the Origin Sect is too powerful. Even in the rank region, he would be someone everyone paid attention to. Fortunately, he only hurt someone and didn't kill him. Otherwise, as he spoke, he looked at Zhou. Zhou silently pondered, and his heart turned cold from fear. Earlier, when we were coming here, we saw the people of the Purple Tao sect coming this way. They seemed to be heading to the Origin sect, and there seemed to be a grudge. It seems Lu Yongkong is going to be kicking a metal plate. Zhao Yun smiled and seemed very happy at someone else's misfortune. That person is not simple. Feng Peishan seemed to be unwilling to talk about this anymore and said, "Forget it. The three of us should be more careful in the future. Let's go to another continent." The three of them took the disciples of their sects and flew off into the distance. It is not easy for someone to catch head elder is fancy this. Lu Yongkong's origin also seems very mysterious inside the ray of light. Feng Peishan shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Wang Lin's gaze withdrew from the horizon. He'd already made up his mind when he attacked. He was in a rush back on the wild continent. Although he had shifted the blame for what happened, he had still left some clues. He was unable to clear those clues and didn't have time to clear them. More importantly, the more he tried to clear them, the more clues he would have left. The most important thing right now is to raise my cultivation level as soon as possible. If I get found out, I'll take a trip to the Wind Celestial Realm. From the memories of the old poisonous woman and the records of the Origin sect, he learned that the Wind Celestial Realm was open. The entrance was in the northern part of the Rank region, but almost no one dared to venture too far inside. They merely gathered some treasures along the edges. The Wind Celestial Realm is my ace for killing. 20 coldness appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. The reason he paid so much attention to the mutation skill in the old woman's memories and risked trying it out was because once it succeeded, his change in the Wind Celestial Realm would be a lot higher. Wang Lin placed more restrictions on the place where he was doing the experiment. Unless someone more skilled in restrictions than Wang Lin came, it would be impossible to find the place. Also, he only needed a thought to destroy everything inside, so he wasn't too afraid of others finding out. Lately, Leo has been having half headaches, always seeming to see light waves in the form of lines, affecting my vision, sometimes momentarily half blinded, perhaps too exhausted. Chapter 1164 3 questions. There was a giant spirit beast that was about 3,000 feet long moving within the star fog of the Rank region. This beast looked like a tiger, and it had a single horn more than 100 feet long that emitted a cold glint. There were more than 30 people sitting on the back of the tiger. They were all calm and were cultivating with their eyes closed. There were men and women among them, and they gave off fluctuations of their cultivation. There was a man standing beside the tiger with the horn. This man was middle-aged and wore a purple robe that moved without any wind. He had his hands behind his back as he looked at the star fog ahead. No one knew what he was thinking. There was an old man respectfully standing behind this man, accompanying this middle-aged as they both stared ahead. The old man softly said, "Sect Master, with the tiger's current speed, we will arrive on the continent of Moluo in one more day." These people were the cultivators of the Purple Tao sect. Normally, it wouldn't have taken them this long to arrive, but due to the matter of the jade and pill recipe that led to the invasion of the Rank region, they had to delay their arrival to the continent of Moluo. After dealing with everything and cooperating with the Rank 6 sects, the Purple Tao sect finally sent people out to the continent of Moluo. The middle-aged man's gaze fell on the star fog ahead as if he was thinking. After a long time, he nodded and calmly said, "There will finally be an answer for things that need to be settled." The old man was startled and didn't understand the meaning of what the Honorable Sectmaster had said. In his view, this will be a simply trip to the Origin sect. What answer is there to obtain? Sectmaster, the old man was about to speak, but the middle-aged man shook his head and said, "You don't understand. Chaos will rise. The cloud sea will no longer be calm." The old man silently pondered. In order to get a pill recipe in jade, not only the Rank 6, but even Rank 7 and 8 sects all sent cultivators. Is it worth it? The middle-aged man seemed to be talking to himself. There was a sense of worry in him. The old man whispered, "That pill recipe and jade are worth too much. It is inevitable people would be moved. That pill recipe is an ominous item. The first time it appeared, it caused a calamity in the cloud sea. Now this is the second time it has appeared. I just dawned to know who took it. The longer it is out there, the greater the calamity will be." The middle-aged man shook his head and let out a sigh. The old man hesitated for a bit and whispered, "According to the investigation, it was the 5 poison sect's old poisonous woman who took the pill recipe in jade and went into hiding. Don't underestimate those old monsters of the rank 6 sex. The middle-aged man faintly smiled. The old man was startled. After he pondered carefully, he questioned, could there be someone else? If it really was the poisonous old woman, why does the 5 poison sect still exist? The middle-aged man's eyes shined with wisdom. He slowly said, how can that poisonous old woman withstand Shi Luoxing and not be found considering her cultivation level? How would she able to kill the Clear Flower sect's Noble Money while escaping? Noble Money was a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. Who could kill him in the short period of time before the second wave of Clear Flower cultivators arrived? The old man gasped and his mind trembled. It took him a long time to recover, and terror filled his eyes. The Clear Flower sect's Noble Money was killed. He was evidently unaware of this matter. Poisonous old woman can do this. Only the person who really obtained the jade and recipe could have such strength. That person must have been forced to kill Noble Money. Presumably, when leaving the wild land, that person encountered Noble Money and aroused suspicion and then was forced to attack. The middle-aged man revealed a look of admiration and pity. He has vicious methods, decisive actions, and he cleanly killed Noble Money. Also before that, this person quickly transferred the target onto the poisonous old woman's back, creating a layer of fog to gain some time. By doing so, he was able to confuse the rank 6 sects enough to escape their blockade before it was set up. Even if I were to change positions with him, I fear I'd be unable to do all of this. More importantly, this person's scheme is very deep. I don't know if he has another reason for framing the poisonous old woman. If he really saw through the truth and only then framed the poisonous old woman, then this person's mind is like a devil's. The pity in the middle-aged man's eyes became even stronger. The heart of the middle-aged man pounded rapidly. After pondering a bit, he was still somewhat puzzled. The middle-aged man didn't turn his head, but he seemed to be able to clearly see the doubt on the old man's face. He softly said, if the rank region successfully obtains the jade and recipe, then it will be a good omen. However, if they found the jade and recipe but lost it, then it will be a disaster for them. What they need is an explanation to the rank 7, 8, or even 9 regions. The old man seemed to realize what happened and was filled with disbelief. His chest puffed up and down as he said, so that's why they allowed the 5 poison sect to continue to exist and are also convinced it was the poisonous old woman. Even Noble Money's death will be seen as the action of a powerful cultivator of the 5 poison sect. The middle-aged man smiled. Then he spoke softly as if he was talking to himself. This mysterious cultivator is smart and gave the rank 6 sects an excuse. No matter what happens in the end, with this explanation, their disaster will be a lot smaller. Why else would there be no Nirvana Shatterer cultivator among the search squads? There are merely Nirvana Cleanser cultivators searching for a mysterious person that can kill a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator in less than 7 minutes. If I were the sect master of one of the rank 6 sects, I would probably even help the mysterious cultivator erase all clues. That way, only the 5 poison sect would be destroyed. The old man beside him was completely shocked. He looked at the middle-aged man with a gaze filled with reverence and dread. There was even a trace of fear in his eyes. He had followed the middle-aged man Lu Yongkong for many years and had seen him go from nothing to the peak. The Purple Dao sect was only a small sect in the rank region 3,000 years ago. However, in this person's hands, it was now very formidable. Although it wasn't the strongest in the rank 5 region, the name Lu Yongkong was known to people in the rank 6, 7, and 8 regions. I really want to have a meeting with this mysterious cultivator. I have a hunch that I will meet this person. One day, the middle-aged man's eyes were filled with expectation. He had his hands behind his back and looked like a mountain in the eyes of the old man. The old man silently pondered. Time slowly passed. The tiger broke through the star fog and moved faster and faster. When they were only half a day from the continent of Moluo, a flash of blue light appeared in the distance. This blue light was strange as it penetrated the fog and even made the fog blue. The tiger immediately stopped and revealed vigilance. There was even a trace of fear in its eyes and it began to growl, but it didn't dare to move forward at all. This sudden scene suddenly caused the more than 30 cultivators to open their eyes at the same time. They calmly stood up and coldly stared ahead. There was unexpectedly no sign of panic. This was because they were the cultivators of the Purple Dao sect, the core disciples of the Purple Dao sect, and direct disciples chosen by the sect master of the Purple Dao sect. They had pride. They could die or defeated, but they couldn't panic. Even if a mountain collapsed before them, they had to remain calm. The old man beside Lu Yongkong became serious as he looked at the strange blue light. Only Lu Yongkong wasn't affected at all. He calmly looked at the fog as if nothing had happened. The blue fog spread and soon surrounded the surrounding 10,000 feet. A moment later, the blue fog parted and a beautiful woman walked out. She had a head of blue hair and a white dress. Her exquisite expression wasn't as cold as ice or gentle, just quiet and elegant. There was jade flute in her hand. She was like a fairy that had descended upon the mortal world. As this fairy gradually appeared, the moment she fully revealed herself, the blue fog around her turned corporeal and became a 10,000-foot-long blue dragon. This fairy was standing on the head of the blue dragon and calmly looked at Lu Yongkong. There were no fluctuations in her eyes. They were pure without any impurity in them. It was like a calm lake that was intoxicating. When one saw those eyes, no matter how tyrannical they were, they would calm down. There would also be a sense of inferiority in their heart. Li Yamei. Lu Yongkong still had his hand behind his back as he looked at her. Although he was shocked by her elegance and beauty that was almost like a domain, his expression didn't change. Rank 9 heaven-breaking sect Li Yamei. The old man beside Lu Yongkong took a few steps back and was on guard. He immediately recognized the woman because she was the only woman with blue hair in the cloud sea, Li Yamei. Yamei greets brother Lu. The woman smiled and bowed slightly toward Lu Yongkong. Lu Yongkong smiled and clasped his hands. Fellow cultivator Li is too kind. Brother Lu, Yamei has 3 questions to ask. I hope brother Lu can resolve my doubts. The woman smiled softly, and she looked even more serene as he spoke. Along the way, she had asked many people the same questions. Everyone who answered were among the elite, but none of them were able to give her the answers she wanted. She had only asked one of the 3 questions, as no one was able to make her ask the second, much less the third. Please speak. Lu Yongkong nodded. The woman softly said, the first question, what is heaven? Lu Yongkong looked at Li Yamei. After pondering for a bit, he slowly said, heaven is a cage. The woman frowned slightly, but it was very alluring. A moment later, her eyes lit up and she revealed a smile that was like a blooming lily. Brother Lu's answer is very interesting. Yamei wants to know why heaven is a cage. Lu Yongkong smiled. Is this the second question? The woman moved her blue hair and softly said, no, this is still the first question. Can brother Lu answer? These past few days, I've always been prodding myself to wish for likes on the VIDEO. But I always forget. Now there are only the last 12 hours left to double the likes for the VIDEO. Tears in the hope of likes. Brothers don't hold back. Chapter untitled. Teng Huayuan didn't immediately act as he was very unsettled. In his heart, he didn't believe that Wang Lin could have reached the mid-stage of nascent soul at all, but the scene before him said otherwise. Whether it was Wang Lin's aura, spiritual energy, or divine sense, they were all at the nascent soul stage. Adding on the fact that he had just teleported, Wang Lin really was at the nascent soul stage. If Wang Lin was only at the early stage, then Teng Huayuan would still be willing to fight, but the cultivation level Wang Lin displayed was mid-stage nascent soul. So, Teng Huayuan couldn't help but be cautious. Everyone present was so focused on the youth in the sky that no one noticed the formation shine again as another youth walked out and blended into the crowd. He stared at Teng Huayuan, who was in the air, then his eyes locked onto the black flag in Teng Huayuan's hand. Teng Huayuan focused all of his attention on Wang Lin. Even though he felt a fluctuation in his curse, he still stared at Wang Lin. He waved his right hand and a soul came out of the small flag. He cursed the soul with a cold smile and put the flag back into his bag of holding. At that moment, the sky darkened and the pressure from 3 months ago appeared again. The entire sky was covered by dark clouds. Soon after, a giant pair of hands came out of the clouds and pushed them apart. A giant head appeared. This giant was the same one from 3 months ago. When he appeared, the first thing he noticed was the youth in the air. He revealed a strange expression, but he muttered a bit to himself, then ignored the youth. He shouted toward the cultivators of Zhao. 3 months have passed. The passage to the foreign battleground will open. With that, he shot 2 beams of black light from his eyes. The two beams of light intertwined and formed a giant circle in the air. The moment the circle appeared, the sky seemed to have lost all light. The circle seemed to suck away all of the surrounding light and became the only light source in the sky. The giant waved his hand and threw out a rock. The moment the rock appeared, it exploded into pieces that transformed into strange symbols. The symbols quickly imprinted on edge the circle. All of the spiritual energy in Zhao was quickly gathering in the circle. The spiritual energy for the first time became visible as a thick fog of spiritual energy was gathering to be absorbed by the circle. As the circle absorbed spiritual energy, the symbols on the circle became brighter. Eventually, a thin film appeared in the circle. The film was almost transparent. One could clearly see that inside the film was an empty space filled with broken bodies, magic treasure, and materials that floated around. Wang Lin was currently hiding among the crowd. He wasn't looking at the circle, but at Tang Huayuan's waist, because there hung his black bag of holding. The change in the sky was outside his expectations and messed up his plan. But shortly after, his eyes lit up and he quickly calculated. Slowly, he let out a smile. The giant suddenly cut his finger and shot out a drop of blood. The drop of blood moved like a meteor and landed on the thin film. The thin film rapidly melted like hot water poured on snow. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as he poured spiritual energy into the treasure Adai gave him and muttered, "Attack!" Wang Lin had carefully studied this magic treasure during those 2 months of closed-door cultivation and found out that the person it forms could be changed. After absorbing his spiritual power, it even managed to take a sliver of the curse. The youth in the sky quickly waved his hand, and a purple dragon came out of his body. It was as if his body had turned into a giant purple dragon. The dragon roared and sent out giant sound waves. Tang Huayuan's expression suddenly changed greatly. He was now sure that Wang Lin was indeed at the mid-stage of nascent soul. There was no way for Wang Lin to give off such a powerful aura otherwise. The dragon's body moved and shot toward Tang Huayuan like lightning. The dragon showed its teeth and the smell of blood in its mouth pounded Tang Huayuan. Tang Huayuan quickly backed up as he bit the tip of his tongue and spat out blood. The blood transformed into several large mosquitoes that charged forward to try to stop the giant dragon. After that, Tang Huayuan quickly slapped his bag of holding and took out a 7-foot-long flag. The moment the flag appeared, a cold wind started blowing. Thousands of individual faces appeared on the flag. Their expressions were filled with pain as they screamed like crazy. Tang Huayuan's right hand waved the flag, and the faces inside it were thrown out. One by one, the disembodied heads charged toward the giant dragon. Their eyes filled with pleads for death. Lin Yi rubbed his chin as he looked at the flag and shook his head. This soul flag is not enough. With only 30,000 souls, it hasn't even reached the first level of completion yet. Punanzi heard it and nodded. What Lord Messenger says is correct. Back when I was in the foreign battleground, I saw a soul flag with more than 1 million souls. Its power was indeed terrifying. Lin Yi chuckled and shook his head. That is only a partially complete soul flag from a rank cultivation country. The soul refining sect in the rank 5 country of Pilu has a soul flag as their sect treasure. It is said the number of souls inside that flag surpasses 1 billion and was gathered throughout the thousands of years of the sect's history. Tang Huayuan waved the soul flag, and 30,000 souls flew toward the giant dragon. In the blink of an eye, the souls surrounded the dragon and entered it. But then something strange happened. The souls didn't meet any resistance as they went into the dragon. It was as if the dragon didn't exist. The souls entered on one side and exited through the other. 5,000 words in a major chapter. Seizing the moment when brothers and sisters feel comfortable, Lio wishes for the like button for the video, for sharing, for channel follows without hesitation. Chapter 1165. Lu Yongkong can T compare? For the frog in a well, the opening of the well is the heavens. For fishes in water, the water is the heavens, the well is the cage for the frog, and the water as surface is the boundary for the fishes. Lu Yongkong looked at the woman and calmly said, "Humans are like the frogs and fishes, so heaven is our cage." The frog wishes to leave the well, and the fishes still desire to jump out of the water. Humans naturally also want to break open the heavens and walk out from the cage. Li Chia-mei thought for a moment, then her eyes became more bright. There was a look of admiration in her eyes as she moved some of her hair behind her ear and said, "Brother Lua's answer is very unique." Chia-mei asked a lot of people along the way, but only Brother Lu was able to resolve my confusion. Xianxia flatters me. Lu Yongkong faintly smiled. Brother Lu is the first person who has made Xianxia ask the second question. I hope Brother Lu can continue to answer my questions. Li Qianmei looked at the man before her. She had heard that the rank region had someone famous named Lu Yongkong. He was very intelligent and had a deep understanding of Tao. If I answer your 3 questions and solve your doubts, what reward will I get? Lu Yongkong smiled as he looked at Li Qianmei and waited for an answer. Li Qianmei blinked and smiled. If Brother Lu really can answer Qianmei's doubts, I can play a song for you on my flute. Okay. Lu Yongkong let out a smile and looked profoundly at Li Qianmei. He was still puzzled on the real reason why she was asking these questions. Li Qianmei looked at Lu Yongkong and softly said, "The second question, what is heaven?" The old man beside Lu Yongkong was still listening. When he heard his lord answer the first question, he smiled, but when he heard the second question, his expression became strange. Lu Yongkong frowned and began to ponder. This time, he pondered for far longer than before. Li Qianmei wasn't too anxious as she quietly waited for an answer from Lu Yongkong. After 15 minutes, Lu Yongkong slowly said, "Heaven is a road!" Li Qianmei thought for a moment and softly asked, "The reason?" Lu Yongkong raised his head and looked up. After pondering a bit, he said, "Heaven is under our feet and is a road for us to walk on. It is because of this road that there is Tao. Tao means this. It is a road that leads us to the direction of breaking out of this cage that is heaven." Li Qianmei's eyes became even brighter, and the admiration in her eyes became even stronger. Thank you, Brother Lu, for answering my questions. I feel much less puzzled now. I wonder where Brother Lu is going in such a rush. The old man beside Lu Yongkong hesitated a bit before clasping his hands and asking, "Fellow cultivator Li, is this the third question?" Li Qianmei just silently smiled. "I am going to the continent of Mo Luo to learn something and ask for an account." Lu Yongkong's expression was neutral, and there was no regret in his heart, even though he knew he wouldn't have the chance of answering the third question. Li Qianmei blinked and softly said, "I wonder if Brother Lu would mind me following?" I naturally welcomed Qianmei to come with me. Lu Yongkong smiled and nodded. Along the way, Lu Yongkong and Li Qianmei were quietly talking to each other and exchanging their Tao. They admired each other very much and gained a lot. The old man was still a few steps away. His gaze would occasionally fall on Lu Yongkong and Li Qianmei. There was some strangeness in his eyes, but also a hint of joy. After the sect master's wife died, he never had another Tao partner. Although this Li Qianmei from the rank 9 sect has just met the sect master, she seems to get along well with him. If the two of them can form a Tao couple, with the sect master's wisdom, his future will be limitless. Then my purple Tao sect will be able to shake the cloud sea. After Li Qianmei left the heaven-breaking sect, she hardly had conversations like this. No one else was qualified to talk to her aside from Lu Yongkong. No wonder even teacher praised this person as the #1 cultivator in the rank region. Even the God sect is paying attention to him. He is indeed a rare and strange man. It is very rare for someone his age to have such a deep understanding of Tao. Even though my cultivation level is higher, I am inferior to him in his regard. Unfortunately, even a person like this was still stopped by the second question. Li Qianmei sighed in her heart. If Qianmei wants to find the mysterious cultivator who has the jade, it will be a difficult matter. Time passed as the two talked, and they gradually reached the subject of the jade and mysterious recipe. Lu Yongkong didn't hide his thoughts, and there was no need to hide them, so he told her his speculation. If this mysterious cultivator has such a scheming mind, then it will indeed not be difficult to find him. After Li Qianmei heard Lu Yongkong's speculation, she gained a hint of interest toward this mysterious cultivator. Acts decisively, mind like a demon, and ruthless in killing. I don't admire many people in my life, but this mysterious cultivator can be considered one of them. As Lu Yongkong praised, the pity in his eyes increased. Li Qianmei softly said, "This is all Brother Lu's speculation. Maybe the truth isn't like this. I hope my speculation is true so I have a chance to meet him. That would give life some excitement." Lu Yongkong let out a sigh. There was expectation in his eyes. As everyone moved forward, they got closer to the continent of Mo Luo. At this moment they could vaguely see the shadow of the continent of Mo Luo. The tiger slowly stopped and floated in space. It coldly stared ahead. Lu Yongkong looked at the elder beside him and calmly said, "The Purple Tao sect and the Origin sect have the same main sect. There is no need to cause too much confusion. I'll go by myself and all of you wait here." The old man nodded in agreement. "Qianmei, let us go together." Lu Yongkong faintly smiled and his gaze fell on Li Qianmei. Li Qianmei nodded and the two of them flew toward the continent of Mo Luo. The old man looked at the two disappear and softly said, "Maybe the sect master and her can really become a Tao couple." Continent of Mo Luo. Wang Lin had experienced the power of the pills of the Cloud Sea. After trying out the pills and comprehending through the beast souls inside, Wang Lin had grasped the essence of these pills. To borrow the beast soul to comprehend the heavens and then merge it with your own domain. Wang Lin was sitting inside the courtyard and had refused Lu Yanfei and company's visit. He held the rank 8 pill in his hand and began to ponder. There is a flaw in the pills of the Cloud Sea. The comprehension gathered from the beast souls is very chaotic and difficult to comprehend. If one wants to extract the desired comprehension, they have to keep consuming pills for it to succeed. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin was looking at the pill in his hand when he suddenly noticed something. He looked up into the distance. They came. His expression was neutral without the slightest change. He withdrew his gaze and continued to look at the pill in his left hand. Shortly after, the door of the courtyard was opened by someone, and a man and a woman walked in. The man was middle-aged and wore a purple robe. He gave off a sense of majesty without being angry, and his eyes were like the stars. They contained endless wisdom. The woman beside him was extremely beautiful, with skin as smooth as jade and as white as snow. There was a jade flute in her hand, and she gave off a very elegant feel. The arrival of those two didn't attract the attention of any Origin sect cultivators, as if they had appeared out of nowhere. The moment they entered, the middle-aged man's gaze fell on Wang Lin, and his pupils shrank. Then he slowly walked over. His speed wasn't fast, but every step he took landed with Wang Lin's heartbeat. It seemed to contain a certain law and naturally gave off an unspeakable pressure. What was even more strange was that, as the man closed in, the sky darkened after a dozen or so steps. The dark clouds covered half the world as he moved forward, and the dark clouds seemed to be devouring the sky. "Sit." Wang Lin still hadn't raised his head. Wang Lin was surprised about the fact that these two could find him here without anyone in the Origin sect noticing. He only said one word, but at this moment, the middle-aged man's footsteps paused. It was if the rhythm he had set up with those dozen steps was messed up, making him unable to distinguish between true and false. It was as if everything that had happened before had collapsed with a thought from Wang Lin. Lu Yongkong's expression immediately became serious. This feeling was very clear. He had clearly spread out his cultivation and domain and surrounded this man in white. Those steps he was taking were his domain, and each step should have been a domain attack. As he moved forward, his domain merged with the world and his Tao turned into the dark clouds, giving him even more momentum. These dozen simple steps were him borrowing the might of the heavens and descending on this ordinary-looking man in white. If it was someone else, just these dozen steps would be been enough to collapse their domain and seriously injure their Origin soul. If the injury was more serious, it would be left a mark on their Tao heart and cause their Tao foundation to collapse. Even if someone could resist, they would still reveal a sign of resistance. Lu Yongkong was very confident in his own domain and Tao, but at this moment, he was moved due to a simple word from this ordinary-looking man in white. This one word had disintegrated everything he had set up, as if everything he had done was not real. "Why not sit?" Wang Lin raised his head. His gaze moved from the pill and looked at the man in purple. Their eyes met. It was as if an invisible thunderclap had exploded within this courtyard, and the middle-aged man in purple was greatly shocked. He subconsciously took 2 steps back and his expression changed greatly. As he retreated, the dark clouds in the sky were all torn apart and disappeared in an instant. The sky was clear once more. No matter how deep and profound Lu Yongkong's understanding of Tao was, how could he compare with Wang Lin? Wang Lin had comprehended the life and death cycle after 500 years of cultivation, and after more than 900 years, he completed his life and death cycle, which then changed into karma. Then, after more than 1,000 years, his karma was complete and transformed again into the domain of true and false. What could Lu Yongkong use to compare? What qualification did he have to compare? He couldn't compare. Li Xianxia was watching this from the beginning. She had come with Lu Yongkong because she admired his understanding of Tao and had goodwill toward him. She felt that among the junior generation, no one had a deeper understanding of Tao than Lu Yongkong. This was also the reason why Lu Yongkong was being watched by the high-ranked sects. However, her mind changed when she looked at Wang Lin, and her eyes shined brighter than they had ever shined before. Brother, I have 3 questions I'd like to ask. Can you answer them? Waking up early today, not updating on time even earlier. Leo went to deal with household chores, unsure what time I'll be back this afternoon. The new chapter tonight might be late. Chapter 1166. The Lie of Heaven. No cultivator of the Origin sect noticed what had happened in the southern courtyard. The southern courtyard was a forbidden land, so no disciple would dare to enter. Even Lu Yanfei and company would only come if called, and they wouldn't dare to break in. After instantly killing a rank 8 beast and telling the rank 6 sect cultivators to scram, Wang Lin was like an ancestor to the Origin sect disciples. They were filled with respect and awe toward him. Lu Yongkong's expression was extremely ugly as he stared at Wang Lin. He was in a dilemma. Before the eyes of this man in white, he couldn't step forward or backward. If he stepped forward, he felt like the world would collapse, but if he stepped backward, his Tao would collapse. It was as if his Tao was mere childish play before this man in white. Sweat came out from his forehead. Lu Yongkong had never seen a person who had a Tao like this. Everything seemed like an illusion, but if the other party wished, everything would be real. He even had a feeling that this world would change along with this person's will. If he sits there, he is Tao. A strange thought appeared in Lu Yongkong's mind. Li Xianxia's words came at this moment. Her voice was soft and beautiful. There was even a sense of elegance in it that made people calm down. When Wang Lin's gaze moved from Li Yongkong to Li Xianxia, Lu Yongkong let out a breath of relief. He retreated several steps, and his expression turned gloomy. Wang Lin calmly looked at Li Xianxia. This woman's cultivation was unfathomable. Although she was hiding her cultivation level, Wang Lin could see that she was at the Nirvana Shatterer stage. Who is this fellow cultivator? Wang Lin's eyes were calm, but his mind began to think. A gentle breeze blew by, causing a few strands of Li Xianxia's hair to flutter before her. She pulled those strands of hair behind her ear as she looked at Wang Lin and softly said, "Heaven-breaking sect, Li Xianxia." Wang Lin's mind moved, but his expression didn't change, and he slowly said, "Why did fellow cultivator Li come here?" Li Xianxia chuckled as she blinked and smiled. "I came to ask elder brother 3 questions to help ease Xianxia's doubts." "Why should I resolve your doubts?" Wang Lin's words were calm. Li Xianxia's expression was still calm. After pondering a bit, she said, "Xianxia can play a song on my flute for you." Wang Lin frowned and calmly said, "I don't need it." Li Xianxia smiled and softly said, "Xianxia can resolve your issue with the Purple Tao sect." "I don't need it." Li Xianxia was distressed as she looked at Wang Lin and softly said, "Tao brother seems to misunderstand. Xianxia just met brother Lu and just happened to come together. I didn't come here to fight Tao brother. Xianxia won't participate in the matter between you and the Purple Tao sect. I just want to ask 3 questions that I have had for a long time. I have no other intent." Li Xianxia rarely explained things in such detail. She naturally saw that Wang Lin thought that she had come with Lu Yongkong, so she explained everything. After looking at Li Xianxia for a bit, Wang Lin frowned and asked what kind of doubt. "It is related to Tao." Li Xianxia smiled. Wang Lin slowly said, "1 doubt for 1 item." When Lu Yongkong heard this, he revealed a wry smile. He didn't think of asking for an item. He would instead listen to her music for fun and with the intent of getting on good terms with her. Li Xianxia was also startled. She chuckled and nodded. If Tao brother can solve Xianxia's issue, that is possible. Wang Lin lowered his head to look at the rank 8 pill in his hand and calmly said, "Ask." Tao brother, Xianxia's first question. "What is heaven?" Li Xianxia's eyes lit up. The most satisfactory answer she had heard was Lu Yongkong saying that the heavens were a cage. At this moment, she really wanted to know how this ordinary-looking man in white would answer. Not only did she have expectations, Even Lu Yongkong became serious. He wanted to know how someone with such a powerful Dao domain would answer this question. Lu Yongkong always thought that his answer was perfect, or else he wouldn't have been the first person to make Li Qianmei ask the second question. After hearing Li Qianmei's question, Wang Lin smiled. He looked at Li Qianmei but didn't speak. Seeing Wang Lin's smile, Li Qianmei was very puzzled, but she wasn't in a rush, so she waited for Wang Lin to answer. Lu Yongkong frowned. He didn't know why this man in white had smiled after hearing this question. The way Lu Yongkong saw it, that smile was filled with sarcasm and ridicule. Wang Lin shook his head and calmly said, "Ask the second question." Lu Yongkong looked at Wang Lin and said, "You haven't told her what heaven is." Wang Lin looked at Lu Yongkong and casually said, "Oh, what do you think heaven is?" Shh. Heaven is a cage. The opening of the well is heaven. The surface of the water is heaven. Lu Yongkong's words were calm but filled with confidence. Li Qianmei was still frowning on the side and still thinking. She couldn't see through Wang Lin. When she heard Lu Yongkong's words, she softly said, "Qianmei has asked a lot of fellow cultivators this question, but elder brother Lu gave the most convincing answer. Why did Dao brother laugh? Is there something wrong with Qianmei's question?" Wang Lin looked at Li Qianmei, and after a long time, he calmly said, "Is there a heaven?" After he spoke, Li Qianmei was startled in place. She had asked many people, but none of them had responded like this. Even Lu Yongkong's pupils shrank, and he subconsciously looked up at the sky. Lu Yongkong coldly snorted. "What nonsense! Heaven is all around us. What kind of nonsense is asking if there is a heaven?" Li Qianmei pondered for a bit, and softly said, "Where is there no heaven?" Wang Lin didn't speak, but raised his right hand and waved. A breeze blew through the courtyard, and a circle appeared on the ground around Li Qianmei and Lu Yongkong. It was as if someone had drawn a circle around them with a stick. "This is the circle, is the heaven both of you think exist. Because you believe that there is a heaven, the heavens exist. You regard yourselves as ants that struggle to break out from the heavens, which is your cage. This is your belief and your faith. However, even if you walk out from the circle, what's the use?" Wang Lin shook his head and waved his right hand. Then another circle formed around the circle from before. "Once you come out, there will still be another heaven, and the cycle of karma continues without end, until the heaven in your heart is erased by the heavens, and this is the lie of the heavens. I was thinking about this hundreds of years ago, so why must there be a heaven?" After Wang Lin finished speaking, he calmly sat there and no longer spoke. Lu Yongkong's body trembled violently, as if someone had hit his head with a bat. His ears buzzed as if countless bolts of thunder had exploded in his mind, and he subconsciously took a few steps back. He stepped out of the first circle, but was still in the second. He stared at the two circles as Wang Lin's voice echoed in his mind. "Lie of the heavens." His face gradually grew pale and his mind became chaotic. The Tao he had cultivated all his life began to crack. He wanted to refute the words of the man in white, but he was powerless. The two circles outside his body seemed to expand forever, and eventually became the heaven in his heart, a cage. He spent all his effort to get out of the first cage, only to find that he was in another one. This strange feeling made his face pale, and blood came out from the corner of his mouth. He revealed a self-deprecating smile. Li Qianmei slowly closed her eyes, and her mind trembled. Wang Lin's words were like a rune that danced in her mind and was gradually engraved into her heart. She originally thought that the confusion in her Tao was like the clouds. No one she had asked along the way could lift it. Only Lu Yongkong's words were like lightning that made the clouds dissipate a bit. However, at this moment, she understood that Lu Yongkong's understanding of Tao was simply ridiculous. He had fallen into the lie of heavens and was unable to pull himself out. "Reveal character." Wang Lin's voice was like a storm. It turned into two invisible hands and swept away all the confusion and clouds in her mind, revealing the blue sky. Her eyelashes trembled lightly as Li Qianmei opened her eyes. She looked at Wang Lin for a long time, and admiration appeared in her eyes. Li Qianmei bowed and softly said, "Can Dao brother tell me your name?" "Lu Zihao." Wang Lin's voice was still calm without the slightest fluctuation. "Brother Lu's answer has enlightened Qianmei. Qianmei would like to ask the second question." I hope Brother Lu can clear Xianxia's doubts. Li Xianxia looked at Wang Lin with bright eyes. For the first question, I want one of the highest quality pills you have. Wang Lin looked at Li Xianxia. Li Xianxia blinked and revealed a smile. Her little girl smile was very alluring. But at this moment, Lu Yongkong was bitterly thinking, so he didn't see it. Wang Lin saw it, but he was indifferent. Brother Lu has miscalculated. Most of the pills on Xianxia are half complete and need to be refined back at the sect. The highest I have is only rank 10, and it isn't a soul-parting death pill, but a healing pill. Since Brother Lu asked for it, I'll give it to you. After Li Xianxia spoke, her right hand reached at the void, and a crack to her storage space appeared. A pill flew out into Wang Lin's hands. Wang Lin frowned as he accepted the pill and put it away after looking at it. Xianxia's second question, what is heaven? Li Xianxia's eyes were very bright. Her heart pounded as she waited for Wang Lin's answer. She had never felt this kind of feeling before. Even when Lu Yongkong was answering, although she was looking forward to it, there wasn't this level of expectation. After hearing Li Xianxia's second question, Wang Lin raised his head to look at the blue sky. There was a hint of melancholy on his face as he softly said, the first question was asking about the limit of Tao. The second is asking about the will of the heavens. After he spoke, Li Xianxia's eyes became even brighter and fixated on Wang Lin. He was the first person she had met that was able to guess the different meaning behind the two same questions. Lu Yongkong took a deep breath and suppressed the chaos in his mind. After hearing Wang Lin's words, he was startled. But he understood why he wasn't qualified to answer the third question, even though he felt that his answer was perfect. Finally, the weekend is here, and Leo can finally sleep to his heart's content, not needing to get up early to take the daughter to school. Been burning the midnight oil these past few days, utterly exhausted. Chapter 1167, looking back with a smile. Because he didn't even understand the difference between the two questions. An old friend once told me that the rain is born from the heavens and dies on the earth. The middle is life, but does the rain really come from the heavens? Rain comes from the void and has nothing to do with the heavens. The rain falls on the earth and nourishes all life, but it has nothing to do with the earth. It is just the fate of rain. The rain forms from water vapor, and water vapor comes from all living things. The rain naturally needs to return to them. This is a cycle of karma, and it can also be considered fate. There is the law of fate. It is invisible, but it surrounds all life and quietly changes everything. Wang Lin looked at the sky and randomly waved his hand. A thunderous rumble came from the sky, and then water vapor gathered from all sides. Dark clouds appeared, and a moment later, rain fell from the sky. Look at the life of a raindrop. Is there any raindrop that falls in a straight line? I observed rain for a long time like I was viewing life. But I didn't see any drop of rain fall straight without changing its trajectory. They always change due to the wind or the clouds or their own weight, adjusting the place they will land. Do you see the unwillingness from the rain? Do you know why it is like this? Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and looked at Li Xianxia. Li Xianxia looked at the rain, and after a long time she softly said, where the will of the heavens exists, fate will change. The life of a raindrop is very short, but due to cycle, it is very long. Cultivators like us have very long lives, but due to the will of the heavens, it is also very short. However, in the short life of a drop of rain, it struggles countless times to escape the control of fate. In order to fight fate, it keeps changing where it will land. And the long lives of cultivators like us are not something the rain can compare to, but how many are willing to desperately struggle to the death to escape the clutches of fate like the rain? To struggle until death to resist the arrangement of the heavens. To struggle until death to defy the will of the heavens. Wang Lin waved his sleeves, and the sky rumbled, and the rain was pushed back into the clouds. The dark clouds collapsed and the rain turned into water vapor that dissipated into the world. You changing the fate of the raindrop makes you the will of the heavens. The moth will be burned by the fire. If you blow out the fire, making it so the moth can die in the fire, then you have changed the fate of the moth. If fate wants someone to die but you save them, then you are the will of the heavens. There is a saying from ancient times, are those who call themselves kings and lords more noble than us? This saying embodies this truth. The Celestials also had a saying, once a man achieves Tao, his chicken and dogs will rise to heaven. This is another embodiment of this truth. This is my answer to your second question. Wang Lin's voice was resolute. After he spoke, everything became quiet. As Lu Yongkong stared at Wang Lin, his mind trembled. His eyes were filled with a complicated expression, but he couldn't help but respect this ordinary man in white. The other party's words had fallen on his mind. Lu Yongkong silently pondered for a moment, and then clasped his hands at Wang Lin. He didn't speak, but his action revealed his admiration. Li Qianmei looked at the sky and confusion filled her eyes. She let out a sigh and looked at Wang Lin. This time her gaze was very different. She bit her lower lip and softly said, "Little sister is convinced by brother Lu Dao." As she spoke, she waved her right hand and took out a jade and pill from her storage space. She gently sent them over. This is a semi-complete pill infused with a rank 10B soul. The list of herbs and method required to finish the pill are inside the jade. She hesitated a bit before looking at Wang Lin and whispering, "Little sister has one last question to ask." Wang Lin was the first person she had met who made her ask the third question. There was a trace of complexity in her eyes as she carefully looked at Wang Lin as if she wanted to engrave him in her mind. No else one knew the importance and significance of these three questions to her. I hope Brother Lu can resolve little sister's third question for some unknown reason. There was a trace of red on Li Qianmei's face. Li Qianmei looked at Wang Lin and softly said, "The third question still is what is heaven?" Wang Lin silently pondered and closed his eyes. Time slowly passed, and after 7 minutes, Wang Lin opened his eyes. He looked at Li Qianmei and calmly spoke, "What you're asking is about not heaven, but Tao." Li Qianmei pondered a bit and gently nodded. "I have always been thinking about this question as well. I once thought that I found the answer, but looking at it now, that answer doesn't seem complete. I wonder what the answer Brother Lu obtained was. Can you tell, little sister?" Li Qianmei's gaze was pure as she looked at Wang Lin. Li Yongkong stood on the side and let out a sigh in his heart. He felt like he was a third wheel. He shook his head and simply sat down on the ground. He waved his right hand, took out a jug and downed a big gulp. Wang Lin pondered a bit and slowly said, "I am the fish, the Tao is the net, and the river is the heavens. The fisherman who controls the net is fate." When Li Yongkong heard this, his right hand stopped. He pondered a bit, and after a long time he seemed to gain enlightenment. He looked at Wang Lin. Then his right hand reached at the void to take out another jug of wine, and he threw it at Wang Lin. Wang Lin caught the jug and took a big gulp. Lu Yongkong let out a sigh and looked at Wang Lin with a complicated look. Although this person looked ordinary, he had an aura that made him yield. My child was really damned. Dying to him could be considered his fortune. Lu Yongkong wasn't an ordinary person. After drinking a mouthful of wine, he untied the knot in his heart. Li Qianmei frowned as she gently massaged between her brow and softly said, "Teacher once said something similar. He once said that a person is the ant, Tao is the mountain, and will is the heavens. If the heavens are angry, the Tao moves with the heavens. If the ant is angry, it also has the strength to move the mountain." As she spoke, looked at the ground, she placed down a white cloth and also sat down. Tao isn't the net or the mountain, but a thought. This thought varies from person to person. Some people regard it as a net, while others regard it as a mountain. When Wang Lin heard Li Qianmei's words, he began to ponder, and his eyes gradually grew brighter. Tao is a thought. A person is a person because they have thoughts, so they can separate from their body, merge with the world, and ponder about the unknown. Lu Yongkong also seemed to gain enlightenment, and he seemed to mutter to himself. Li Qianmei thought for a bit and smiled. Brother Lu's way of thinking is very peculiar. The three of them seemed to have forgotten the passage of time and began to chat in the courtyard. The originally murderous aura had been washed away by this Tao debate. Night came and the moon hung high in the sky. This caused the shadow of the moon to appear before all three of them. The three of them forgot about time as they debated Tao, but this made the lives of the people outside bitter. The old man originally wasn't anxious, but after waiting for more than half a day, he began to frown. He didn't understand why they hadn't returned after such a long time, with the sect master's cultivation and Li Qianmei. After several more hours, the anxiety in the old man's heart became even stronger. He vaguely had a bad feeling. He clenched his teeth and no longer hesitated. He took control of the tiger beast and headed to the continent of Moluo along with more than 30 Purple Tao sect core disciples. However, just as they closed in, before they broke through the protective barrier, a commanding voice echoed. "Back off. Without my order, you are not allowed to take half a step into the continent of Moluo." This voice belonged to Lu Yongkong. The old man was startled and quickly controlled the tiger to retreat. However, his heart was still puzzled. Inside the courtyard, daylight enveloped the yard. Wang Lin looked at Lu Yongkong, and Lu Yongkong silently sat there drinking wine. He understood that he was not an opponent for this man in white. Even if the entire Purple Tao sect came, it wouldn't make any difference. Wang Lin looked at Li Qianmei and calmly said, "For the third question, I can only say that Tao is like a thought." Li Qianmei revealed a smile, and it was very beautiful. She looked at Wang Lin and softly said, "Thank you, Brother Lu, for resolving little sister as stout. I hope Brother Lu inform me once he finds the answer to the third question. From now on, little sister won't be asking others these questions." Wang Lin was startled. He looked at Li Qianmei, and after pondering for a bit, he nodded. Lu Yongkong let out a sigh and stood up. He clasped his hands at Wang Lin and said, "Fellow cultivator Lu, with our night of Tao debate, our past enmity is gone. However, you must return that yin celestial flag to me." Wang Lin's gaze was calm, and he shook his head. Lu Yongkong took a deep breath and bitterly smiled. Lu Yongkong let out a sigh and said, "Fellow cultivator Lu, this yin celestial flag doesn't belong to the Purple Tao sect. It was sent by the main sect to be nourished. It must be returned after 100 years. If you don't want to return it, I won't insist. But once the 100-year period is up and the main sect comes asking for it, don't blame me for telling them the truth. The yin celestial flag is something that belongs to the main sect." Wang Lin's expression was neutral, but thoughts flashed through his mind. "It is. Forget it. Since you don't want to return it, I won't insist." "Farewell." Lu Yongkong clasped his hands. When he looked at Li Qianmei and saw that she had no intent to leave, he couldn't help but feel bitterness in his heart. He clasped his hands at Li Qianmei and left. After Lu Yongkong left, Li Qianmei looked at Wang Lin and gently smiled. She held up her jade flute next to her mouth and began to play. The sound of the flute echoed. It was filled with warmth and elegance. It was graceful like a gentle sea breeze and made it so people couldn't help but be immersed. This flute contained a tranquil charm, like the life in a village or the clear mountain stream. It washed away all the dirt in one's heart. It was like a rainbow bridge that connected two people so the estrangement between them would disappear. Feeling the quiet and elegance in the song, Wang Lin closed his eyes. It was as if he had gone back to planet Suzaku and saw that woman playing the zither, or the blind woman in the demon spirit land. The flute song entering his ears mixed with the zither in his heart. It was difficult to distinguish them. Lu Yongkong left accompanied by the sound of the flute, and the bitterness in his heart became even stronger. He looked at the origin sect and let out a sigh before leaving without looking back. After an unknown amount of time, the sound of the flute dissipated. Li Qianmei stood up and looked at Wang Lin before walking toward the gate of the courtyard. Then she stopped and looked back with a smile. Just as this smile bloomed, Wang Lin opened his eyes. "Brother Lu, the continent of Penglai will be holding an auction that only occurs every 30 years. Are you interested in going? Day in, day out, nearing 3,000 words, reading a lot, but can't force myself to split the story into 2,000 words chapters, because then the flavor's gone." Leo with tears in his eyes, longing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1168, The Mysterious Starfield Behind the Rank Region. The continent of Penglai was very famous in the Rank 5 region. Most of this fame came from the Treasured Jade sect. The Treasured Jade sect was the #1 sect in the Rank region. They had many cultivators and naturally had a lot of old monsters. The continent they were on was called Penglai, but it was also called the Penglai Celestial Realm. The size of Penglai was far larger than Moluo. It was at least a dozen times bigger. It's a bit inappropriate to call it a continent, because it was half a cultivation planet. In the Cloud Sea, there were very few cultivation planets. They were very rare. Only those very powerful sects could own them. Even the Treasured Jade sect wasn't qualified to occupy a complete cultivation planet. They could only get half. They only got half because an ancestor 20,000 years ago had achieved great merit, and this was given to them by the rank 9 ghost sect. Even until now, no other higher rank cultivator dared to covet for this cultivation planet, which allowed the treasured Jade sect to keep this cultivation planet. Looking through the star fog, Peng Lai looked like a tooth. Layers of protective barriers glowed around it, pushing the star fog back and making Peng Lai shine. Aside from the treasured Jade sect, part of the fame of Peng Lai was the auction it held every 30 years. Every time there would be a large amount of cultivators, including some famous cultivators from the upper regions. The whole thing was extremely lively. The auction takes place over 3 months, meaning there will be a very comprehensive list of treasures, pills, pill recipes, and spirit beasts for sale. It provides cultivators with a large variety of resources. This also includes the exchanging of celestial jades and origin crystals, along with the trafficking of bodies and cultivation furnaces. There was even gambling by using your own spirit beast to fight. Of course, the most interesting things were the Peng Lai chaos and auctioning your own goods. The Peng Lai chaos was an environment in the treasured Jade sect where cultivators could freely bet in life and death matches. The winner would take the loser's treasures. The auction on Peng Lai was about to open, so many rays of light were heading over. Due to the matter with the jade and pill recipe, there were many cultivators from the rank region this time. There were even cultivators from the rank 7 or 8 regions coming as well. Among the stars, there were 2 rays of light. It was a man and woman. The man wore white and looked very calm. Even if a mountain collapsed before him, his expression wouldn't change. He was Wang Lin. The woman beside him was extremely beautiful and also wore snow white as well. Her blue hair moved without any wind, and her exquisite face could cause anyone's heart to pound. She gave off a tranquil and elegant aura, like she was a fairy that had descended onto this mortal world. If you met her eyes, you wouldn't be able to help but feel ashamed. Just a few more days before we reached the continent of Peng Lai. Xianxia came to Peng Lai 500 years ago with a fellow sect member. It was very lively and I have good memories of it. The woman's beautiful eyes revealed a trace of remembrance, and she smiled. Wang Lin was on the side, silently looking ahead. He normally wouldn't have come here with Xianxia and wasn't interested in this auction. However, after listening to Xianxia's words, he pondered a bit and was tempted. The cloud sea was filled with star fog, and without an accurate star map, it was almost impossible to navigate. The higher ranked the region, the more true this was. In order to go from the rank region to the rank 8 region, it required a lot more star maps. In the cloud sea, a comprehensive star map was very rare. Most were made by individuals, so they required you to collect many of them. Then you had to verify their accuracy before obtaining a more comprehensive map. The reason he had agreed to come was because he wanted to get a star map. However, star maps were extremely valuable, and very few people were willing to trade them. After all, with how the cloud sea was, a star map was the top secret of a sect. This was understandable. Very few sects dared to say they had a star map that covered this vast star system covered in star fog. After all, there were many places that no cultivators had gone to before. At times like this, the role of a star map was extremely important. On an unknown continent, the information on what fierce beasts there were and what herbs there were would be considered valuable information. Only a few cultivators or a sect would control his information. Without a star map, it would be difficult to move. Even the development of a sect would be affected. The only way they could get resources would be to go to some wild continents everyone knew. Therefore, every single sect would spend a lot of effort to explore the stars. However, it was difficult to find your direction within the fog, and there were countless fierce beasts within. It would often cost a sect a great price to explore an area. As a result, it was naturally better to exchange star maps. However, humans were naturally greedy, so even in exchanges, there would be false information or information that would lead people to dangerous areas. As a result, the trading of star maps gradually died down. Every single sect preferred to go explore themselves and obtain a safe star map, rather than exchanging for a fake one that would make them pay a bloody price. As for Xianxia, she had used a unique transfer array in her sect to each of the subsects. Only after several transfers did she arrive in the rank region. This was a common method sect rank 8 and above sects used in the Cloud Sea. Like spreading seeds into the lower regions, they supported or reconstructed various subsects. They allowed the subsects to grow, and their biggest role was to act as transfer locations. This allowed the people of the main sect to move to the different regions, and thus avoid the issue of the lack of star maps. There was a transfer array like this in the origin sect. However, every time the transfer array activated, it would be crossing star fields, and therefore required a large amount of celestial jade or origin crystals to activate. Thus, without the main sect giving the appropriate permission, it was impossible to activate. Along the way, Wang Lin was pondering. He pretended to listen to Li Qianmei's words but didn't chat with her. Li Qianmei was very angry. Along the way, this man beside her was like a mute and never said a word. It was only her talking, as if she was talking to herself. As the two flew, they became silent. Wang Lin looked at Li Qianmei. After pondering a bit, he slowly said, "The rank region is very mysterious to us. I wonder how many sects are in the rank region." There was no flaw in his question. In the Cloud Sea, due to the star fog, it created barriers between cultivators, so a lot of information wasn't widespread. The rank region was also high above and was a mysterious existence. The origin sect records only had a simple description of the rank region. They only knew that there was a god sect. Wang Lin only found out about the heaven-breaking sect after obtaining the jade and searching the memories of the poison old woman. After all, a rank 5 sect wouldn't know more than a rank 6 sect. Li Qianmei heard Wang Lin talk. After pondering a bit, she answered Wang Lin's question. There are a total of 4 sects in the rank region, namely, the God sect, the Ghost sect, the Demon sect, and the Heaven-breaking sect. The Heaven-breaking sect Qianmei belongs to is the weakest, while the God sect is the strongest. The Ghost sect is the most mysterious. As for the Demon sect, Li Qianmei hesitated a bit and whispered. The Demon sect is located in the deepest part of the rank region, and it is very difficult for cultivators to enter it. All the powerful fierce beasts gather there. Teacher once said that there are terrifying beasts that can take human form there. However, with the God sect around, the Demon sect isn't be able to do much. Oh, Wang Lin's expression changed slightly, and then he said, "Fierce beasts that can take human form?" Li Qianmei nodded and softly said, "Fierce beasts can comprehend the heavens and cultivate Tao. So why wouldn't they be able to cultivate a human form? However, there aren't many fierce beasts like this, only a rare few. There are a few matters you and a vast majority of cultivators don't know about. Even my heaven-breaking sect only found out about some of these secrets after entering the rank region." Li Qianmei's expression was serious. After pondering a bit, she whispered, "A long time ago, there was only one sect in the rank region of the Cloud Sea. It was the God sect. After the God sect had ruled the Cloud Sea for countless years, the first outbreak of fierce beasts occurred. During that time, there were 3 fierce beasts with human form. It was said they came from another star system. Without the God sect, this outbreak of fierce beasts would have spread across the entire Cloud Sea. In the end, it was stopped by the God sect, so it didn't spread, and not many outsiders know of this. That war was said to have brought heavy casualties. After suppressing the fierce beasts, the God sect sent out a group of people to be stationed in the depths of the rank region. There is crack in space there that links to a mysterious star system. Some extremely powerful beasts came from there. In order to stop the fierce beasts from spreading, battles broke out there for tens of thousands of years. Even now, the fight continues. A part of the God sect gave up their freedom and remained deep within the rank region, acting as the first line of defense. However, as time passed, these God sect disciples became independent and started calling themselves the Demon sect. They stopped taking orders from the God sect, but they still defended that position from waves of fierce beast attacks. Li Qianmei's voice was very beautiful, but the contents of her words were shocking. Wang Lin's eyes became serious. He didn't think the Cloud star system was hiding such a shocking secret. The God sect was worried about this. They dreaded the Demon sect and the invading fierce beasts. They first helped promote the Ghost sect, who are good at using soul capture spells, into a rank 9 sect. Then they raised my heaven-breaking sect into rank 9 as well. All this was to prepare for the second outbreak that could happen at any time. After she finished speaking, she looked at Wang Lin and softly said, "This matter is of great importance. I hope Brother Lu Wen tell others." Wang Lin silently pondered for a moment and nodded. He then looked into the distance as if his gaze could penetrate the void and reach the rank region. He saw the spatial crack the Demon sect had been suppressing for tens of thousands of years, and saw the mysterious unknown star system inside. Everything in this world has a reason. If what Li Qianmei said is true, Then where is that mysterious star system? International Children's Day brings tears and wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1169. Who are you? Every several hundred years, the rank region forms an army of cultivators to send to help fight against the fierce beasts from the mysterious star system. Perhaps it won't be long before Xianmei will have to go as well. Li Xianmei's blue hair fluttered, and a few strands were caught by her right hand as she smiled. Wang Lin silently pondered. If that day comes, Brother Lu has to send Xianmei off. Li Xianmei blinked and chuckled. That smile was beautiful like a blooming orchid, with a sense of grace and elegance. That beautiful face was similar to Lu Yanfei's, who stood on top of her pavilion and silently watched when Wang Lin left the continent of Moluo. There was also her soft voice. I hope Senior comes to the 100-year competition that will occur in the main sect with Lu Yanfei's intelligence. She could tell that the continent of Moluo couldn't keep Wang Lin. This was, after all, only a foothold, and he was just a passerby. She knew he was going to leave, after resolving the matter with the Origin sect. His departure had happened almost immediately after the disaster with the Purple Dao sect had been resolved. Once he leaves, she probably won't see him return. The blue-haired woman that left with Wang Lin also caught Lu Yanfei's eyes, and she gradually lowered her head. Wang Lin saw the scene and heard this. He couldn't look back and shouldn't have looked back as he flew far away. But just as he was about to depart the continent of Moluo, Wang Lin's words were like a gentle breeze that lifted Lu Yanfei's hair. I will. At this moment, Wang Lin looked at Li Xianmei, who was already at the late stage of Nirvana Shatterer, but didn't have the slightest hint of arrogance and was like a next-door little sister. He listened to her talking about the secrets of the rank region. He listened to her talk about the war with the fierce beasts. He listened to her asking him to send her off. Wang Lin pondered a bit before he nodded and whispering, I will. Li Xianmei smiled. When she smiled, her eyes were like the crescent moon. On the second day of the auction, Wang Lin and Li Xianmei arrived outside of Penglai. Li Xianmei used her Dao spell to turn her hair black. This made it so she wouldn't have to worry about being recognized. The black-haired Li Xianmei was even more elegant. Her standing next to Wang Lin attracted the attention of many surrounding cultivators. The treasured Jade sect had placed a lot of disciples around Penglai to receive the arriving cultivators. After paying the fee, they would open the formation and allow the cultivators inside. This was the first time Wang Lin had seen a cultivation planet since he came to the Cloud Sea, even if it was only half of one. However, compared to the shock other cultivators experienced when they saw a cultivation planet, Wang Lin was extremely calm. In the Cloud Sea, a majority of cultivators had never seen a cultivation planet before, only floating continents. The shock of seeing a cultivation planet for the first time always showed on their faces. However, to Wang Lin, a cultivation planet really wasn't much. He was born on a cultivation planet. He had accepted his teacher on a cultivation planet, and in Al Heaven, he even had his own cultivation planet. There was no need to talk about the large star field within the Vermilion Bird Divine sect. The cultivators of the treasured Jade sect all had some pride because they owned a real cultivation planet. However, before Wang Lin, their pride was really insignificant. As each cultivators paid their spirit stones and entered, it was finally Wang Lin and Li Qianmei's turn. The cultivators stationed here were mostly at the yin and yang stage. However, the cultivator leading them was unexpectedly at the Nirvana Scryer stage. The treasured Jade sect sure has a good name to have a Nirvana Scryer cultivator to welcome people. Wang Lin secretly shook his head. He could easily see through the treasured Jade sect's actions. They were putting on a show of power. After paying the spirit stones, Wang Lin and Li Qianmei entered the continent of Penglai. Li Qianmei smiled and whispered, the auction this time is a lot better. Last time I came here, they had a Nirvana cleanser cultivator welcoming people. I thought I was going to another rank 9 sect and forgot that this was only the rank region. Wang Lin silently shook his head. Although people felt that the treasured Jade sect was shameless, Penglai was very beautiful. The earth was green, and the mortals in the capital cities looked up respectfully at the cultivators flying by. There was a hint of envy in their eyes. There were even majestic mountains and rivers. It was a feast for the eyes. The location of the auction was on the eastern part of Penglai. It was a spectacular sight with stones floating in the air and pavilions built on top of them. White clouds filled the sky and surrounded those stones, making the eastern part of Penglai look like the celestial realm. The size of these cities built on these rocks were different based on the size of the rocks. There were many of these stones floating there with a large stone in the center. They weren't stationary but slowly rotating. There were also bursts of music and melodies coming out from these stones. However, on top of that, there were even graceful beasts flying between the stones. They would appear and disappear within the clouds. Looking at this, Wang Lin's expression remained the same, but he sighed in his heart. There was a large formation on each of those stones that consumed large amounts of spirit stones every second to remain floating. The treasure jade sect is famous for being wasteful, but although it looks like the celestial realm, it lacks celestial spiritual energy because they are using spirit stones. In the end, it is only an emaciation. Not even the treasure jade sect can afford that many celestial jades, much less origin crystals. Li Qianmei laughed. Hearing Li Qianmei mentioning celestial jades, Wang Lin made a strange face. He had already learned from the records at the origin sect that the Cloud Sea was severely lacking in celestial jades. This was greatly related to the wind celestial realm being occupied by the mosquito beasts. If they couldn't enter, they couldn't get any celestial jades. Even the treasured jade sect only dared to squander spirit stones and were extremely stingy with celestial jades. Even the young master of the purple Dao sect didn't have 100 pieces of celestial jades in his bag. This was just how rare they were. Similarly, in the Cloud Sea, there was an even more precious resource called the origin crystal. Just like how celestial jades were required for reaching the ascendant stage, and yin and yang cultivators used them for their formations and treasures. The origin crystals had even greater for second step cultivators. Origin crystals only existed in the Cloud Sea and were loved by second step cultivators. Absorbing them could rapidly recover origin energy for second step cultivators. They could also drastically increase the rate of cultivating. If you had an origin crystal when setting formations or refining treasures, their power would be increased. However, origin crystals were as rare as celestial jades. The only difference was that the celestial jades were in the wind celestial realm, making them almost impossible to obtain. As for the origin crystals, they were mostly controlled by the rank 8 or higher sects, most of it by the rank 9 sects. All of this was due to the formation of origin crystals. They couldn't be mined, but were formed by rank 12 beasts that could turn into fog. After a rank 12 beast has lived inside the star fog for a long time, an origin crystal gradually forms. Only sects and cultivators with rank 12 beasts could farm origin crystals. However, there weren't many rank 12 beasts, and only a few of them could turn into fog. As a result, only rank 8 sects and higher possessed them. If an origin beast were to appear in the lower region, a massive fight for it would occur. After all, an origin beast meant origin crystals. Wang Lin stepped into a city on one of the floating stones with Li Qianmei. The city was open and there were a lot of cultivators within. Some had even paid the treasured jade sect spirit stones to open up their own booths to do business. This is the outer perimeter, and it is fairly lively. Li Qianmei walked beside Wang Lin and looked around. This place was very lively, and the sounds of bargaining filled the city. This place didn't look like a trade plaza for cultivators. It was more like a mortal market. It had been a very long time since Wang Lin had visited a market like this. As he walked through the city, his gaze fell on a stall not far away. Fellow cultivators, I don't have that many celestial jades. How about I add a pill? There was an old man sitting behind the stall. He had a gloomy expression as he looked at a middle-aged man before him. These words came from the middle-aged man. I can refine my own pills. They are useless. 70 celestial jades for one origin crystal, this is my limit. The old man's gaze turned cold as he spoke. Then he no longer paid any attention to the middle-aged man. In the Cloud Sea, cultivators could freely exchange celestial jades and origin crystals at a certain rate. After hearing those words, Wang Lin subconsciously touched where his bag of holding was. Although it was empty, Wang Lin felt very strange. Even he didn't know how many celestial jades he had in his storage space. Just at this moment, a voice filled with surprise came from the distance. Qianmei, it is really you. Following the voice were 3 cultivators. The person in front was about 30 years old. He wore a green shirt and was handsome. He had a slender body and surprise filled his eyes as he walked over. The two following him were also very handsome. Their cultivations were fluctuating, revealing that they weren't weak. Li Qianmei frowned slightly but quickly relaxed and said, "So it's fellow cultivator Yang." The man in green closed in and didn't even look at Wang Lin before smiling at Qianmei. "We only met a few months ago, but I already miss you. Fortunately, we were able to meet again today. Qianmei, this place is noisy. How about we go into the inner city?" The man's voice was gentle, and there was a certain charm to it. "Thanks, fellow cultivator Yang, for your kindness, but please excuse me." Li Qianmei's voice was calm, but it was also cold. "Qianmei, you," the man in green walked up a few steps and was about to speak. "Fellow cultivator Yang, please pay attention to what you say. Qianmei is not something you can say." Li Qianmei frowned and revealed anger. This Yang Yu was one of the people she had questioned, but she was not satisfied with his answer. Yang Yu raised his eyebrows. He naturally saw Wang Lin beside Li Qianmei. He wouldn't dare to provoke Li Qianmei, but he didn't care about anyone else. Yang Yu stared at Wang Lin and coldly said, "Who are you?" Quickly approaching 3,900 words, Leo fierce as a tiger. Wishing for sharing, for likes on the video, for channel followers. Chapter 1170, what is it? Wang Lin coldly looked at the man in green. This person was at the mid-stage of Nirvana Scryer, and although he looked handsome, there was a sense of gloominess about him. His two companions behind him were both Nirvana Cleanser cultivators, and they were standing in an odd position. While the man in green was speaking, they moved to the side and surrounded Wang Lin. However, as Wang Lin looked over, only the man in green remained calm. The pupils of the two Nirvana Cleanser cultivators shrank and revealed tension and dread. After withdrawing his gaze, Wang Lin didn't even look at the man in green and went toward the old man sitting at the side. The middle-aged man bargaining with the old man had already left. Not only him, all the surrounding cultivators had noticed that something was wrong and had all scattered. The old man at the stall was calm and was looking at Wang Lin. "Fellow cultivator, how many origin crystals do you have?" Wang Lin spoke very casually and looked at a jade token that was around the waist of the old man. The old man's face twitched and smiled. "Not much, only one. However, I only want celestial jades and nothing else." Wang Lin's eyes lit up as his lips moved, and he sent a message to the old man. The old man was startled for a moment and looked at Wang Lin for a while. He then revealed a look of bewilderment. Wang Lin's right hand reached out, and his storage space opened. His hand reached inside and took out a bag of holding. Although Nirvana Cleanser cultivators didn't need storage bags, they would still use it during trades for the sake of privacy. He wiped the divine sense off the bag and threw it at the old man. Then Wang Lin calmly said, "This is the deposit." The old man caught the bag of holding and carefully scanned it with his divine sense. He then looked meaningfully at Wang Lin before silently pondering for a bit and cleaning up his stall. He said, "I'll look for you within 3 days." After he finished, he was about to leave, but he paused for a moment to look at Wang Lin and sent out a message. "Fellow cultivator is decisive. My name is Ouyang Long. I'll consider fellow cultivator my friend. This man in green is Yang Yu, and he is the third disciple of the Devil Collection Sect's sect master. Fellow cultivator, be careful when dealing with this." After sending out the message, the old man quickly left and didn't ask how to contact Wang Lin at all. Wang Lin also didn't question this. Outsiders couldn't hear what Wang Lin and old man had said. Yang Yu saw that Wang Lin had only talked with the old man for a moment and caused the old man to leave. He became even more cautious. As for the two cultivators surrounding Wang Lin, they became even more nervous. Yang Yu's eyes lit up and he said, "You sure have guts. You haven't answered my question. Let your lord come out and speak to me." Although Wang Lin's expression was calm, his words were ice cold. When it landed on their ears, it was like a thunderous explosion. The two early-stage Nirvana Cleanser cultivators' expressions changed greatly. Yang Yu's pupils shrank, and he was about to speak. However, just at this moment, he moved like lightning and immediately arrived next to the cultivator on the left. This cultivator had been on guard this whole time and quickly retreated as his hand formed a seal. A giant red flower suddenly appeared, and it bloomed to more than 100 feet wide. The center opened up, revealing a mouth filled with teeth that tried to devour Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was neutral, and he stepped forward instead of retreating. He disappeared without a trace and the flower devoured nothing. Wang Lin appeared behind the cultivator and his 2 fingers landed on the cultivator's back. A muffled bang echoed. Then the cultivator's face turned pale and he coughed out blood. The flower before him collapsed and he flew out like a kite with a broken string. He fell onto the ground in the distance and smashed a stall. Just at this moment, the cultivator on the right retreated and waved his hand to summon 7 flying swords. The 7 swords quickly flew at Wang Lin. Wang Lin suddenly looked over, then his eyes revealed a strange light and he said one word, "Dao." His eyes suddenly changed. His left eye was like a hazy illusion, while his right eye contained lightning that could shatter iron and split the earth. The 2 different gazes flew out like swords and imprinted in the eyes of the retreating cultivator. The cultivator's body suddenly trembled, and the flying swords went out of control. His eyes turned blurry and his heart pounded. It was as if he had entered a nightmare he couldn't escape. Hallucinations appeared, and he couldn't distinguish between real and fake. Blood came out from the corner of his mouth and his eyes were bloodshot. He held his head, screaming as if he had gone crazy. This scene caused the surrounding cultivators to gasp. All of this was very fast and ended in a flash. Wang Lin hadn't killed these 2 cultivators, but they were already useless. Li Qiamei watched all of this, and her eyes lit up. This was the first time she had seen Wang Lin attack. Everything had happened smoothly and without any hesitation. Yang Yu's face was pale. He silently pondered as he looked at Wang Lin. The screams of his fellow sect members echoed in his ears and tore his mind. Just at this moment, Wang Lin turned to look at Yang Yu. His eyes were calm, as if what had just happened was like crushing an ant. That cold gaze made Yang Yu's mind tremble. Wang Lin slowly walked toward Yang Yu step by step. Back then, Lu Yongkong had borrowed the power of the world and used his Dao to suppress something. Although it failed on Wang Lin understood this method of attack. Given Wang Lin's understanding of Dao, it was easy for him to grasp the meaning and make it his own spell. Every step he took synced with Yang Yu's heartbeat. This made Yang Yu's heart thump on every step. In no more than 10 steps, Yang Yu's face turned even more pale. As his heart pounded with each step, Wang Lin became larger in his eyes and came crashing down like a mountain. However, Yang Yu didn't retreat. The veins on his face swelled as he stared at Wang Lin. He struggled to let out a roar and his hair moved without any wind. However, he no longer had the gracefulness he had before. Wang Lin let out a cold snort. His steps had completely fused with Yang Yu's heartbeat, and Yang Yu's heart was under Wang Lin's domain's complete control. Wang Lin lifted his right foot, but as it fell, he stopped it in midair. Due to Wang Lin's domain, Yang Yu's heart unexpectedly stopped. Just at this moment, Wang Lin suddenly landed and sped up. He took 3 steps in a row. Bang, bang, bang. The moment those 3 steps landed, Yang Yu felt like a heavy hammer had smashed into his chest 3 times. His body trembled, his face turned ruddy, and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. He wasn't able to resist Wang Lin's domain and was pushed back. Just after he retreated 1 step, he coughed out another mouthful of blood. He continued to retreat, and his ruddy face turned pale once more. There was confusion and struggle in his eyes. In the blink of an eye, his eyes were bloodshot. Illusions appeared in his mind one by one. These were scenes of him and his fellow sect members dying in countless different ways. He knew that this was false, but he couldn't clear his mind. These illusions were like memories that were engraved into his mind and became more real each second. Yang Yu's body trembled violently as he held his head. He didn't scream, but he continued to struggle. He was losing his clarity, and confusion was taking over. Seeing that he was about to be lost inside the illusion, Yang Yu continued to retreat and called for help. "Uncle Master, save me." The moment he spoke, a green shadow arrived before Yang Yu. His finger mercilessly pointed to between Yang Yu's eyebrows. Popping sounds came from his body and blood mist erupted. Then he fell to the ground unconscious. This green shadow didn't stop and in a flash arrived next to another cultivator. He used the same spell and caused the screaming cultivator to pass out. As the green shadow moved, he arrived in front of Yang Yu and pointed his finger at him. The green shadow was an old man. He had a head of white hair and his eyes were shining with power. "What are you looking for me for?" Wang Lin was calm as he looked at the old man. The old man revealed no emotion as he looked at Wang Lin for a while and smiled. Fellow cultivator Lu is indeed smart. This old man is indeed looking for you, so I hope fellow cultivator doesn't team mind I was a bit reckless. How about we find a place to site to allow this old man to make amends? Wang Lin's expression remained the same as he looked at the old man. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin nodded. Wang Lin was already as cunning as the devil, and when Yang Yu first appeared, Wang Lin noticed that Yang Yu was clearly looking at him. Then Yang Yun arrived and started pretending to catch up with Qian Mei. He even saw through that when Yang Yu pretended to catch up with Qian Mei, the other two weren't able to hide their nervousness. If this was it, that would be fine, but that Yang Yu had quickly pointed his word at Wang Lin. Given Yang Yu's cultivation level, it seemed a bit contrived for him to do this. After seeing through the clues and with the reminder of Ouyang Long, Wang Lin knew that Yang Yu had been targeting him. He had only dealt with the Devil Collection sect once, and that was Zhao Yu on the continent of Mo Luo. However, it was only Wang Lin's gaze. Wang Lin wasn't sure if the other party was testing his strength due to the matter with Zhao Yu, or the flaw left on the wild continent. However, no matter what, the cultivation world respected the strong. Showing his cultivation level would not only be a deterrent to others, it would also allow him to gain respect. After realizing this, Wang Lin instantly chose to attack. After hearing the old man say fellow cultivator Lu, Wang Lin became even more certain about what to do. Li Qianmei had only cultivated for a short time, and didn't he have Wang Lin's life experience of fighting against all those old monsters with years of experience? She didn't see through this very difficult clue until Wang Lin said, "Bring out your lord." Li Qianmei's eyes lit up as if she had seen through something. This person's scheming is even more scary than his cultivation. Li Qianmei looked at Wang Lin with shock. Tears streaming long. Wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1171. Puzzled. There were restaurants and places to stay already in the various floating cities on Penglai. Although cultivators didn't need to eat and didn't need much rest, they still liked to eat. Even when cultivating, one would want a quiet room. There was no lack of these kinds of facilities in the city. At this moment, on the third floor of an inn, the entire floor had been cleared out of unauthorized people. Now there were only two elders, Wang Lin and Li Qianmei there. One of the old men was Yang Yu's uncle master, and the other one had a shining red face. The green-robed old man smiled. "Fellow cultivator Lu, I haven't introduced myself. I am the rank 6 Devil Collection sect's elder Tang Lihai. This old man is the Devil Collection sect's Wu Qing." The red-faced old man's voice was like a bell that shook the entire third floor. These two elders were both at the early stage of Nirvana Shatterer, but they didn't put up any airs and treated Wang Lin as an equal. Wu Qing had heard about what happened from Tang Lihai and was shocked. He didn't dare to underestimate Wang Lin. Li Qianmei quickly sat on the side and played with the wine cup in her hand. However, her gaze would occasionally sweep past the deserted table in the corner. Tang Lihai and Wu Qing naturally knew of her identity, but since she had changed her hair color, it was obvious she didn't want it to be revealed. They didn't say anything and only looked over to pay their respects. Today, it was me who was reckless, so I hope fellow cultivator Lu won't mind. Tang Lihai picked up the wine cup and looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was neutral as he picked up the cup to match, but he didn't drink it and placed it down immediately after. Tang Lihai laughed. "I heard from disciple Zhao Yu that fellow cultivator Lu's spell was amazing. After seeing it today, it really was extraordinary. I want to become friends with Brother Lu." "No problem. It was also my intent to become friends with the Devil Collection sect." Wang Lin quietly waited for what was next. He didn't believe they would come just to become friends with him. The two of them began to talk, but Tang Lihai still didn't bring up the real purpose. He was secretly gauging Wang Lin, and he was also afraid of the relationship between Wang Lin and Li Qianmei. Wu Qing listened for a very long time and eventually revealed a hint of impatience. He picked up a cup and slammed it on the table. He looked at Wang Lin and said, "Fellow cultivator Lu, I'm not good at talking in circles. Today I came to ask if fellow cultivator is willing to become an external elder. If you agree, my Devil Collection sect will greet you with great gifts. Even if you don't agree, after today, the three of us can be counted as acquaintances." For us cultivators, those we call fellow cultivator can be considered friends. Hearing Wu Qing's words, Tang Lihai revealed a wry smile as he looked at Wang Lin and said, I was going to ask fellow cultivator about this after talking a bit more. But I forgot about this Wu Qing's attitude. My Devil Collection sect is very sincere, and if you become an external elder, we will provide all the alchemy materials you need. We ask you act when you should to maintain the dignity of my Devil Collection sect. Wang Lin pondered a bit and slowly said, I need to consider this first. How about this? I'll give you an answer before leaving Penglai. Tang Lihai laughed and nodded. That's how it should be. Fellow cultivator, please think carefully. We will await your answer. After talking about this matter, Wang Lin stood up and said his goodbyes. He left with Li Qianmei. It wasn't tea until the two of them left that the red-faced elder's face became gloomy. He no longer had that straightforward appearance he had before. He slowly said, His cultivation is very strange. Tang Lihai said, It is indeed very strange. He is also very cautious, suspicious, and wise. Also very ruthless and decisive when acting. At this moment, on the deserted table in the corner, a figure gradually appeared. It was a middle-aged man wearing a Taoist robe. He was pale and had the air of a celestial. He stood up and walked toward the two elders before slowly sitting down. The middle-aged man looked outside the window and whispered, I can tell if he saw through my invisibility. Tang Lihai hesitated for a moment and said, Even if he saw through you, it should be Li Qianmei who secretly told him. The middle-aged man shook his head. Is it that guy? Wu Qing's eyes lit up and became cold as he spoke. If he saw through it, he is. If he didn't then he isn't. The middle-aged man withdrew his gaze and frowned. No matter what happens, don't touch this person. I get a very dangerous feeling from him. My Devil Collection sect will back out of this matter with the jade and pill recipe. We can afford to participate. The middle-aged man massaged his temples. He looked exhausted. Every city had their own market, and there were a lot of them scattered about. Over the next few days, Wang Lin said farewell to Li Qianmei and wandered the city on his own. Li Qianmei nodded while smiling, and the two split up. Without Li Qianmei beside him, Wang Lin no longer cared to hide it anymore and began looking for star maps for sale. Back in the inn, Wang Lin vaguely saw that there was a cultivator hiding at the table in the corner. However, his expression didn't change, and he didn't reveal any sign that he had noticed. It seems the clues on the wild continent have already been seen through. Wang Lin let out a sigh and became more anxious to buy star maps. However, the star map prices were very high, and it was difficult to tell the real ones apart from the fakes. After 3 days, Wang Lin had bought some, but he wasn't confident in them. At dusk of the third day, Wang Lin returned to the inn and sat down on the bed. He looked at the 6-star map jades on his hand and began to ponder. Shortly after, his expression changed slightly and he looked up at his room. A moment later, a knock was heard. He finally came. Wang Lin revealed a smile and waved his right hand. The door opened, revealing a middle-aged man. This middle-aged man was burly and had a heroic look about him. He didn't enter the room, but clasped his hands. Senior, my teacher, Ouyang Long, invites you. Wang Lin got up and walked toward the door. The middle-aged man respectfully led the way. After leaving the inn, the two of them flew out of the city. Although it was night, the city was even more lively. The sound of people talking echoed in their ears. A moment later, the two arrived at the center stone of all the floating cities. This was the main city, and it was dozens of times bigger than the outer cities. At night, this city was like a huge, fierce beast that gave off a powerful sense of pressure. Under the guidance of the middle-aged man, the two of them headed to the east gate. There were many cultivators guarding the east gate, and if you wanted to enter, you had to show a jade token. Wang Lin noticed that when the middle-aged man took out the token, the surrounding cultivators immediately became respectful. They didn't even examine Wang Lin and allowed them to enter. Shortly after they entered the city, they arrived in the center of the city. The middle-aged man stopped before a refined pavilion. He respectfully said to Wang Lin, Senior, please enter. Given Junior's identity, I can enter. Wang Lin nodded, and his divine sense spread forward before walking in. When he entered, he heard a hearty laugh. It was Ouyang Long walking down the stairs and clasping his hands at Wang Lin. I made fellow cultivator wait. You simply asked for too much, and it took some time to prepare. Ouyang Long was very enthusiastic. He was like a different person from 3 days ago. Wang Lin clasped his hands and smiled. No problem. He naturally understood why Ouyang Long was like this. Wang Lin's actions back in the market not only shocked the Devil Collection sect, but also shocked the force behind Ouyang Long. Come, this old man will take you to a place. Our exchange will be done there, and there will be some fun as well. Maybe fellow cultivator would wish to gamble a bit and maybe win big. Ouyang Long had a smile on his face, but he didn't dare to underestimate this youth in white. 3 days ago, this person was able to find him and set such a big order. It was obvious this person had seen through his identity, which already meant that this person wasn't simple. And what happened at the market afterward had really shocked him. I'll be troubling fellow cultivator Ouyang. Wang Lin was polite as he followed Ouyang Long to the bottom of the pavilion. His divine sense was naturally spread out with caution. Everything he saw startled him, but he didn't reveal any of it. The bottom of the pavilion was completely hollow and unexpectedly led to a stone platform 100,000 feet wide. There were many cultivators sitting around it, and the roars of fierce beasts were coming in. There were 2 spirit beasts, 1,000 feet large, fighting each other on the platform. The roars of the 2 beasts echoed. There were also arm-like passages hanging around the platform. These were round and seemed to have rows of windows. Wang Lin and Ouyang Long were in one of the passages. This is the beast gambling arena of the continent of Peng Lai. If you find any spirit beast you fancy, why not bet on it? Ouyang Long led Wang Lin and laughed. Wang Lin silently nodded. The 2 of them moved quickly and arrived at the end of the passage. Before them were 2 cultivators with decent cultivation levels and a closed stone gate between them. Ouyang Long looked at Wang Lin. He pondered a bit and said, "Today's auction will be held by my uncle master," and he invited some fellow cultivators to participate. It can be considered a small, private auction. If you're interested, you can also put something up for sale. My uncle master will begin our trade with you once the auction is over. Fellow cultivator, I am still puzzled about something. I hope fellow cultivator can resolve my doubt. Please speak, fellow cultivator Ouyang. Wang Lin nodded. How did fellow cultivator know my identity? Ouyang Long stared at Wang Lin. If someone had introduced him, it would be been fine, but this person had unexpectedly found him while he was at his own private stall. This person was also sure he had more origin crystals and had secretly pointed out his identity. Wang Lin faintly smiled. The like button for the VIDEO is in danger. Urgently wishing for the like button for the VIDEO's aid. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1172, The Circle of Nirvana Shatterer. Wang Lin didn't say the specific reason and simply avoided the topic. The more he was like this, the more strange Ouyang Long felt. He felt the ordinary-looking youth in white was shrouded in mystery. Ouyang Long couldn't make Wang Lin answer by force, so he could only smile and shake his head. He no longer mentioned this matter and instead reminded Wang Lin, fellow cultivator, this is a private auction. According to the rules, the thing they hate the most are those who hide their appearance. After that, they arrived at the end of the tunnel and he knocked on the stone door a few times. A moment later, the stone door trembled and ripples spread out in a circle on its surface as if it was melting. Ouyang Long looked back at Wang Lin before disappearing into the ripples. Wang Lin pondered a bit and didn't cover his appearance. Since he dared to come, he wasn't afraid of causing trouble. He walked into the ripples and disappeared. His vision blurred. When his vision was clear again, his eyes narrowed. He looked around and saw that this was a room about 100 feet wide. The floor was made of some unknown material that was transparent so you could see the fierce beasts battling below. There were some seats scattered around the room with one at the center. There were 7 cultivators sitting in their chairs, and none of them were hiding their faces. When Wang Lin entered, all their gazes gathered on him. These people's gazes were like swords and were extremely sharp. Their gazes seemed almost solid and could make anyone feel chills. One of them was startled for a moment after seeing Wang Lin, but he soon returned to normal and smiled. The person sitting in the seat in the front was an old man with silver hair wearing a gray robe. His eyes were slightly open. but there was a hidden flash of light in his eyes when he looked at Wang Lin. This cultivator was at the mid-stage of Nirvana Shatterer. Behind him, Wang Long bent over and whispered something into his ear. Wang Lin's expression was neutral as he walked forward before everyone's gazes. He arrived before a set and calmly sat down. His eyes were calm as he looked at the crowd before clasping his hands at the person that had smiled at him. Wu Qing didn't expect to see Wang Lin here and was surprised. However, for Wang Lin to be able to enter a private auction like this made Wu Qing think even more highly of him. As Wang Lin casually swept his gaze, everyone present, aside from the old man that was obviously Ouyang Long's uncle master and Wu Qing, was at the early stage of Nirvana Shatterer. The person sitting opposite of Wang Lin was a young scholar with a fair complexion. He gently waved the feather fan in his hand, revealing no emotion. When Wang Lin looked at him, he looked back at Wang Lin with a hint of interest in his eyes. There was a beautiful woman sitting beside him. She was wearing a beautiful flower dress and sat there with a hint of laziness. She took one look at Wang Lin and then no longer paid any attention to him. There was an old man sitting not far away. His appearance was very strange. His face was filled with scars and looked terrifying at first glance. He had a gloomy expression as he kept rotating the ring on his right forefinger. Aside from those three people, the other two also looked at the calm Wang Lin. Not far to the left sat an old man in black. This old man was skinny and had eagle claw-like hands. There were two balls the size of a baby's fist in his left hand. The balls kept rotating around each other and would sometimes make some sound when they collided. The last person was an old woman with snow-white hair, wrinkly skin, and a green robe. She sat there motionlessly. Wang Lin's gaze swept by. Her eyes were like lightning, and she coldly looked at Wang Lin again. This was obviously a small auction meant only for Nirvana Shatterer cultivators. To enter here, one had to have the identity and strength. If it wasn't for the fact that Wang Lin had easily injured the three people from the Devil Collection sect and his transaction was quite large, it would have been difficult for him to enter here. Even though he had entered this place, he was at the bottom in everyone else's eyes. After Ouyang Long finished speaking with the old man, he stood straight and respectfully stood on the side. The old man let out a dry cough, and his gaze swept past the cultivators in the room. His hoarse voice echoed within the room. Today is a private meeting that I, Master Ashenpine, have set up. Everyone invited is my old friend, and of course we do have two new friends as well. I won't bother with polite words. According to the old rules, let us set the first bet for the jackpot. After the old man finished speaking, Ouyang Long immediately stepped forward and took out 6 pieces of jade. He passed them out to everyone, including Wang Lin, and respectfully handed the last one to the old man. Wang Lin held up the jade and his divine Sena swept it. He immediately saw information of more than 100 fierce beasts inside. There is even a sword lion beast. This old man will bet on this beast. The old man covered in scars laughed. His divine sense made an adjustment to the jade and then he threw it at Ouyang Long. Wang Lin calmly checked each fierce beast inside the jade. He wasn't knowledgeable about fierce beasts. Everything he knew came from the records of the Origin sect, which was not enough. Most of the fierce beasts inside were not in the Origin sect's records. Wang Lin gained a lot of knowledge about fierce beasts as he checked the jade. Seeing how most of the others had thrown their jades, Wang Lin chose a beast called Wind Cloud, placed 100% celestial jades, and threw it back at Ouyang Long. The white-haired old man smiled and said, "Today I want to see which one of us has the best judgment. We will know the answer later. Now, I have 3 treasures here. If any of you are interested, you are free to make an offer." As the old man spoke, he waved his right hand, and 3 crystals flew out and floated in the air. The first item was a flying sword. It was made of crystal and gave off a cold aura. There was a red line moving inside it, giving this flying sword an evil aura. The second item was a broken armor. It gave off an ancient aura as if the passage of time had carved itself onto it. The third item was a pill. This pill was completely black and didn't have the fragrance of pills. Instead, it gave off a terrifying aura, which made Wang Lin's gaze linger on it for a moment. The first item is the blood crystal sword. I killed almost 1,000 rank 8 fierce beasts, and used all their blood to refine this. I also asked Senior Dao Yi to enlighten it when I made it, so its power increased greatly. The line of blood inside contains a strange poison, making it so that on top of injuring the body, even the origin soul will be poisoned. Senior Dao Ye enlightened it. The beautiful young woman in the flower dress waved her hand and the blood crystal sword flew into her hand. After taking a closer look, she let go of the sword and it flew back. The second item has a set of spells recorded on it, but it is broken, so it is impossible to cultivate. What a pity. As for the third item, it will depend on you fellow cultivators' insight. If you want to exchange, you must follow my rule. I only want celestial jades. The old man smiled and looked at everyone. Aside from Wang Lin and the old woman in green who didn't move, the other four all looked at the treasures one by one. The beautiful woman bought the crystal sword. As for the specific price, no one else knew. As for the fragment, no one asked any questions. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he waved his right hand and the fragment flew into his hand. His divine sense spread out over it, but he wasn't focused on the spells inside, and instead was focused on the material. This fragment was like a bone, but after looking carefully, it didn't look like it was one. Wang Lin couldn't help but ponder. The middle-aged scholar held the black pill in his hand and sniffed it. He revealed a look of hesitation as he turned toward the old man and said, "Master Ashen Pine, I offer 500 celestial jades for this pill." Master Ashen Pine shook his head and slowly said, 100-fold. After he spoke, all the surrounding cultivators' eyes narrowed and looked at the pill. These cultivators were all at the Nirvana Shatterer stage and therefore wouldn't display their emotions. Although they all looked at the pill, outsiders would find it hard to see through what they were thinking. The middle-aged man was silent for a moment before revealing a smile. After he heard the price, he was convinced of his own speculation. He put the pill away and nodded at Master Ashen Pine. Master Ashen Pine smiled as his gaze fell on Wang Lin, and he laughed. "Does fellow cultivator fancy this?" Wang Lin looked up, revealing a look of hesitation. He thought for a bit and said, "This thing is useless, but I am interested in rare things, so I offer 100 celestial jades." Master Ashen Pine pondered slightly and then waved his hand with a laugh. "I originally didn't intend to sell it, and mainly wanted to see if any of you would recognize it. Since fellow cultivator likes it, then I'll gift it to you." Wang Lin clasped his hands to say his thanks and put away the fragment. The old man holding the two balls slowly said, "This old man was really blind. I didn't expect that pill to really be the chaotic origin pill that can threaten Nirvana Shatterer cultivators. However, just one pill isn't strong enough." As he spoke, the old man waved his hand and two items flew out. They floated in the air. They were a red feather in a bubble the size of a head. There was a beast soul inside the bubble. Half of the beast was dragon and the other half was fog. It was struggling in an attempt to escape from the bubble. The moment these two items were taken out, everyone looked over at them. The moment Wang Lin saw the red feather, he was shocked, but he concealed it very well so none of it showed. The first item is the rumored feather of the vermilion bird. Although it is difficult to distinguish if it's real, the fire origin energy in it is strong. The second item needs no introduction. It is a semi-fog rank 12 beast soul. I don't have as many rules as Master Ashen Pine, and will take anything in exchange as long as I like it. After the old man finished speaking, he silently examined everyone. "Unfortunately, it is only a half-fog beast. What a pity." Wu Qing looked at the fierce beast in the bubble and shook his head with a sigh. "If it was a real fog beast, why would I sell it?" The old man coldly snorted. The like button for the VIDEO has dropped to 5th place. Tears brimming and wishing for the like button for the VIDEO. Chapter 1173. The wind of desire begins to move. Wu Qing faintly smiled. He didn't speak, and it was impossible to tell if he was happy or angry. The two things this skinny old man had taken out aroused the attention of everyone here. Wang Lin let out a sigh. He was interested in the rank 12 beast, but its price would not be low, and because it was semi-fog, its value would be even higher. As a result, there were more people offering on it. However, the old man still didn't nod, which made the surrounding cultivators frown. Master Ashen Pine stared at the bubble, and his eyes lit up. After a long time, he withdrew his gaze and passed the old man a message. The old man's expression changed for the first time, but after pondering for a bit, he shook his head. Master Ashen Pine let out a sigh, and no longer offered. Just at this moment, the old woman that wasn't moved by any treasure waved her right hand, and a jade flew toward the old man in black. The old man scanned the jade with his divine sense and his eyes shined like never before. He closed his eyes and pondered for a long time, but still didn't nod. I'll add a map of the rank region. I personally made this chart and collected information for a long time. Although I don't dare to say it covers everything. At least 30% of the rank region is inside. There are also several wild continents that only I know of. The old woman's voice was hoarse as she slowly spoke. I don't want your star map. Add another 10,000 celestial jades. The old man in black opened his eyes, and his voice was resolute. The old woman frowned and slowly said, I don't have the celestial jades, only the star map. She looked at the spirit beast inside the bubble. She was tempted by this and had given a good price, but the other still didn't agree. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. After pondering a bit, he softly said, I'll take this star map for 10,000 celestial jades. Wang Lin looked at the old woman in green. This old woman looked meaningfully at Wang Lin. She nodded and threw a jade at Wang Lin. After they finished the exchange, Wang Lin put the jade away. The old woman and the old man in black's trade was also successful. The old man smiled and nodded at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's 10,000 celestial jades caused the old monsters here to pay him a bit of attention. However, 10,000 celestial jades wasn't that shocking of an amount. After looking at Wang Lin, their gazes fell on the feather. The old man with the face filled with scars touched the ring on his finger and slowly said, The vermilion bird from back then is dead and its whole body exploded in flames. So this feather is obviously not an original. I offer 3,000 celestial jades. 5,000 celestial jades. Wu Qing faintly smiled. This feather is indeed beautiful. I'll offer 8,000 celestial jades. The beautiful young woman chuckled and her voice was very pleasant. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he withdrew his gaze from the feather and slowly said, 10,000 celestial jades. He had to obtain this feather. After hearing Wang Lin say 10,000 celestial jades again, even the young scholar revealed a hint of shock. He carefully looked at Wang Lin. The beautiful woman's eyes narrowed and she softly said, This little friend has a lot of celestial jades, but this feather is indeed pretty, so I am reluctant to let it go. The old man covered in scars looked at Wang Lin. Then he put on a fake smile and said, 13,000 celestial jades. Wu Qing's expression remained the same and he said, 15,000 celestial jades. After he finished, he looked at Wang Lin. He didn't need this feather, but since he saw Wang Lin bid, he was tempted and wanted to see how many celestial jades this person had. At this moment, he had already completely forgotten about the middle-aged man telling him not to provoke Wang Lin. The beautiful woman chuckled and sent a message to the old man in black. The old man in black looked at the beautiful young woman and said, This is an auction, there is no need to secretly send me offers. Whoever offers the highest price will obtain it. 20,000 celestial jades. The beautiful woman wasn't annoyed and set her price. Wang Lin was calm. He pondered a bit and then said, 30,000. After he spoke, the surroundings immediately became quiet. The beautiful woman looked at Wang Lin again, and her eyes became serious. A person who was able to take out 30,000 celestial jades must have had a big power behind them, even if they weren't at the Nirvana Shatterer stage. And this person was able to come to Master Ashenpine's private auction, so he couldn't be simple. One couldn't only look at someone's cultivation level. After pondering for a moment, the beautiful woman shook her head and no longer offered. Not only her, but even the old man covered in scars looked at Wang Lin and shook his head. He didn't continue to bid. They were people who were here to trade, so they naturally wouldn't deliberately make it difficult for each other. The young scholar looked at Wang Lin with even more interest. He had already noticed that when Wang Lin first entered, he was extremely calm when facing all these Nirvana Shatterer cultivators. There wasn't the slightest hint of discomfort. If it was another Nirvana Cleanser cultivator, they would have been frightened silly and wouldn't dare to compete with a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator for treasures. This point was enough to explain the problem. This person must have had something that allowed him to remain this calm. The pupils of the old woman in green who got the beast's soul shrank. She looked at Wang Lin and began to ponder. Master Ashenpine still smiled and watched everything. He wasn't surprised that Wang Lin had a lot of celestial jades. Just the deposit he had given Ouyang Long included thousands of celestial jades. This alone proved Wang Lin's courage and determination. The old man in black laughed. He was about to speak, but at this moment, Wu Qing laughed. 35,000 celestial jades. Fellow cultivator Lu, it isn't tea that this old man wants to compete with you. I am doing this because I have great use for it. 40,000. Wang Li frowned. 45,000 celestial jades. Wu Qing still smiled. He wanted to see if the person before him would top his bet or not. 50,000! Wang Lin's expression gradually turned cold. 55,000 celestial jades. Wu Qing still smiled. Everyone here was an old monster who had lived for tens of thousands of years, so they immediately saw through his intent of playing Wang Lin. The beautiful woman frowned. Not only her, but all the other old monsters also frowned. They had all come here to trade and found this kind of behavior extremely disgusting, unless there was a feud. Even Master Ashen Pine revealed a hint of unhappiness. Since fellow cultivator Wu is going to compete with me to the end. Wang Lin was angry, but he smiled and looked profoundly at Wu Qing. I don't want it anymore. After Wang Lin finished speaking, he simply closed his eyes to cover the killing intent within. Wu Qing's eyes lit up and he laughed. Thanks for letting me win. With that, he took the jade and made the deal with the old man in black. Due to Wu Qing's interruption, the auction gradually calmed down. Everyone else took out things they wanted to sell, and even Wang Lin took out a few things. It didn't take long for this auction to end, and everyone left one by one. As for the result of the bet, it would take some time to get, so there was no rush. That person has a lot of celestial jades. Even when Wu Qing left, he was still smiling. He looked at Wang Lin before walking out from the room. At this moment, Wang Lin and Master Ashen were the only ones left in the room. As for Ouyang Long, he had left accompanying the other old monsters. It was the first time Wu Qing was invited by this old man. I didn't think he would act like this. This is my fault for not recognizing his nature, which might have brought fellow cultivators some trouble. Master Ashen Pine shook his head, as if he was unhappy about Wu Qing's action. No problem. Wang Lin remained calm. Master Ashen Pine pondered a bit and said, how about this? Fellow cultivator can stay in the main city for a while. After the auction is over, me and few of my old friends will be heading out. We can send you off so that Wu Qing won't dare to have any malicious thoughts about you. Without waiting for Wang Lin's answer, Master Ashen Pine's expression became serious, and he said, fellow cultivator want to trade for 5,000 origin crystals. Is this true? Wang Lin nodded but didn't speak. Master Ashen Pine's right hand reached at the void and opened his storage space. He took out a storage bag and threw it at Wang Lin. He then stared at Wang Lin with shining eyes. No one could see through his thoughts. Wang Lin caught the bag and checked it with his divine sense. There were 5,000 origin crystals inside. Origin crystals were extremely rare in the Cloud Sea, and 5,000 origin crystals was an astronomical amount. It was unknown how Master Ashen Pine had obtained so many. After putting away the bag, Wang Lin opened his own storage space and took out the bag he had prepared with celestial jades. He threw it at Master Ashen Pine, who caught it, and after checking it with his divine sense, revealed a smile. Do you still have more chaotic origin pills? Wang Lin looked at Master Ashen Pine. I obtained the chaotic origin pills by accident from inside a relic. There were only 9, and I still have great use for the other 8. Master Ashen Pine declined. Wang Lin no longer said any more and got up to leave. After Wang Lin left, Master Ashen Pine's smile disappeared and he muttered, my origin crystals are not something that can be taken so easily. After walking out from the room, Wang Lin's expression was neutral, and he let out a cold snort. Since he had dared to come here, he wasn't worried about people finding out he had so many celestial jades. Just like Master Ashen Pine, who was only a member of the treasured jade sect, but had so many origin crystals. Thinking about the origin crystals, Wang Lin's heart skipped a beat, and he left through the passage. That Master Ashen Pine definitely has evil intentions, but he doesn't know that my intentions are more vicious than his. 5,000 origin crystals aren't enough for me to nourish that mutated beast. If I want the mosquito beast to rank up with that mutated beast and be able to protect me in the wind celestial realm, I need enough origin crystals. After leaving the passage, Wang Lin met Ouyang Long along the way. Ouyang Long led Wang Lin back to the pavilion and Wang Lin left. The sky was no longer bright and the noise had subsided. Wang Lin stopped after walking several steps in this calm street. A ripple appeared behind him and the old woman who got the beast's soul walked out. She coldly looked at Wang Lin before waving her right hand and throwing out a jade. There are errors on that star map. This is the real one. Be careful of Wu Qing. With that, she no longer paid any attention to Wang Lin and disappeared. Wang Lin held the jade and swept it with his divine sense before putting it away. When he turned around, his expression turned cold. The cultivation world respects the strong. Trying to hide all the time is not.